He's never going to die.
Yeah, just because
back open.
Just because of that, Jimmy Carter's going to live another 5 years.
Oh man.
You've just extended Jimmy Carter's life by 5 years. Look at yourself. Are you happy? This old decrepit shell of a man's going to go out into Georgia and build more Habitat for Humanity houses? Let the dead rest.
I'm kind of on the fence with Jimmy Carter, though.
Look at Gio. He's got a new ball and chain, which is an old ball and chain. He sprained his foot, and Noam Chomsky's alive.
I can't believe it.
It's a great start to the episode.
Yeah. That is a great... like when you sprain your foot, it's like a toothache, it just doesn't, like... Mm-hmm. I've been pouring stuff on it. It's just, anyways. This is...
For the folks at home, it's actually nothing like a toothache, but go ahead.
No, but they say like it's incessant, like... You know what I mean? They say it's like any it's like sciatica. I suffered with sciatica for many years,
He suffers.
But I have it under control.
Is it a good suffer?
No, God, no. Especially when you have like
an attack. Prude is always about playing ball.
But our website is a lot like sciatica, though. That's true.
Like undoing Prude's good work is thank you.
Anyways,
I am a master snake oil salesman, except instead of snake oil, I sell our guys'
I sell coal. So if you go to my Patreon, you could go sign up for the coal report. The second episode's called what did I call it? Transformers in a sundress. Anyways, that doesn't imply anything. So let's get serious. Just use I hope that's a joke. Just use Canadian healthcare already. Oh my God.
Well, Canadian healthcare can be delivered to you in Sao Paulo by a transformer on a motorbike.
Look, Gio can get someone to sell for free.
I think we should avoid this language for YouTube. Anyways, I'm serious. Say sunset. You don't say that.
Wait, why don't you just get into the Sky King?
No, because live streaming is different. You have to be on the
though.
ball. Whereas, like, if I when I do content mining interview people, like I edit out all sorts of wild stuff. Like I was interviewing Volpis today, and he said, because Europeans are not as that sensitive to North American language orthodoxies around certain hard R words. So, anyways, this is the Digital Archipelago.
I've heard the geotapes. If you could hear what he edits out, it'll curl your hair.
You have to go to Patreon.
Let's list a few things I cut out. I remember hearing.
Don't say anything. I remember I heard that. Anyways, this is Digital Archipelago episode 93. We have the Blood Satellite podcast or show or podcast. Doesn't matter anymore. Everything's a podcast. Mainstream television's a podcast nowadays. So we are here, and of course their link is below. I mean, I got kind of lazy and I just put your website there. I could have went and put your Odyssey and your YouTube channel, but I think you can find everything on your website, right?
It's good. It's all linked.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Bloodsatellite.ca is the best site to go to for all that.
Even splurge for the .ca. Hey, that's oh boy. So I guess let's start off with and of course need those super chats. The entropy link is pinned in the comments. So did we want to start off with Leaf news? I know that I guess we should get the boring stuff out of the way first. Yeah, Gio getting pressed to this pod. I feel like I'm on BTR all over again. No.
Well, I did see an article with respects to Canada. It was from True North. I don't know how reliable they are, but they said immigration is now on the top of the minds of Canadian voters, eclipsing even climate change as one of the most pressing issues at the poll, according to a recent national survey at Abacus Data, with 26% of Canadians polling ranking immigration as the top and key priority. So
that would have been unheard of.
I couldn't believe that climate change was one of the top issues for Canadians, and polling data.
I deny that it was a top issue. I think that's something they wish was a top issue, but I don't think most people have ever really been talking about that in a serious way. But immigration, everybody is talking about this. And in fact, I don't think it's hard for me to think of like a single issue that's united Canadian voters. And Gio, maybe you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I can't think of a real single issue. Yeah, but like even when Trudeau was elected the first time, like what was the issue? I knew people who elected him because they wanted weed legalized, but like this is the issue this election.
Yeah,
and it's specifically, I think if we can, I'm going to try and be good for YouTube, but it is Indian migration. That is the specific
subcontinental. Issue. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Dimes.
Oh no, I was just talking. Sorry, am I cutting out or what?
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, you were cutting out there.
All right. So, Judas, you say something. I'm going to make sure I'm okay here.
Yeah. So it's weird because Poilievre is totally dodging this. In some ways, he's more pro-immigrant and especially more pro-Indian than Trudeau. Like Trudeau is just a wet blanket. Like he's a puppet for all these leftist elites. But Poilievre doesn't need to be. So, and if you look at his campaign trail over the past few months, it's been all about that. It's wild.
We were talking about this on our show. Like
that super chat.
Like now would be the time for conservatives to get kind of crazy. Now would be the time if they wanted to.
Oh yeah,
they
if
could
you
get pretty radical if they wanted to. Yeah.
No, but Poilievre, I think he's bought into a lot of the sort of safe avenues for conservative politicians, which is like, oh, well, I'm not opposed to smart immigration. But then you have like that video of a guy that's like 50 something years old getting some student visa and like applying for Gibbs as soon as he comes here. Remember that video? He kind of looked like Adi Dai, that mystic grifter in New York back in the 70s. But yeah, like it's crazy. Everything here is crazy.
Yeah, and when people do, if they have the opportunity, you can find a wealth of YouTube videos. I know exactly the video that Gio is referring to. It's like an old Indian guy saying how he got here on a student visa. There's countless YouTube videos instructing migrants how to cheat the system. It's been in the open. I think, and we talked about this on our show fairly recently, this is a very dangerous thread that they don't want people pulling because everything unravels if people take an interest in how corrupt the system is.
Housing, especially with boomers and
yeah. I also feel like they're playing hot potato. They're passing these two kind of distinct issues as relates to Indian immigration. On the one hand, you have the really, really poor Dalits who are coming over and gaming the foreign education system. And the argument there is, oh, well, you gotta kind of take care of them and they deserve a chance and they just want to work hard. They're so hardworking. But then the other end of it is a lot of the people that are coming are actually super, super wealthy and they're buying up whole strip malls in small Canadian towns and taking over the regional politics. And like, this isn't a case of like immigrants searching for a better life. This is the case of like local regional elites in a superpower moving to another country with lax immigration laws and literally building an enclave in the forest. And like when we go hunting and fishing up north, we'll drive through towns or villages with a population of like 200 and the entire strip is owned by Indians and staffed by Indians. And it's real.
Yeah, it's like every so often you hear a story about, the Chinese Communist Party bought up 400 trillion acres of farmland or something.
Well, I was going to say the Chinese do that as well.
Yeah, that's but that's everywhere in Canada. You're seeing moves being made that would shock and appall you because no one's really paying attention up here, and that presents opportunities for dissident-minded groups because the infrastructure up here is so poor. It's not like America where they could marshal their internal forces and police effectively. They cannot police effectively up here. So, name a country. It's India, but it's also China. It's probably also Russia. There's a lot of them. I mean, Montreal is a fascinating nexus of organized crime.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're referring to the corruption. They're being pretty vague. And I believe a Trudeau, what's her name? Melanie Jolly, the MILF. Jolly mommy Melanie. She's his
Jolly
foreign
Mummy
minister-
Milkers. Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Jolly Mummy Milkers. She's his foreign minister.
What's her actual name?
Melanie Jolly.
Prude's in her
Melanie.
DMs already.
Oh no, I don't know jack about Canadian politics, so I was
Well,
just.
Is she Trudeau's foreign minister?
She is
I think
the
so. She was.
Minister of Foreign Affairs. Yeah.
Yes. So she said that to leak the information of MPs that are charged with corruption or taking bribes from foreign powers, that it would be a impediment to democracy. That's
Oh
what
yeah,
the exact
total
words
would.
was.
Yeah.
You know?
This is such a fascinating story because this dropped just recently, and they admit, you know who didn't admit it though was the Green Party. They said everything's fine, but even the NDP was saying this was a huge deal, saying that there is an undefined amount of MPs, members of parliament, basically our Congress people, who are in the pockets, knowingly and wittingly in the pockets of foreign interests. And my sense is that another thread they don't want to pull, because if people just understand bipartisan, this isn't just a liberal thing, although I do think the Liberal Party is more rife with it. If that thread gets pulled, then I think everything
there's another nation that I could imagine the Conservatives are taking money from, but that's not, especially under Harper. Harper
brought
was
it
very pro.
up. You brought it up this time, Gio. That wasn't me this time.
No, but the thing about we have to protect this nation in the Middle East, but no, a lot of it is from China and India. Let's face it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Ukraine for a minute. I was like, wow, my tax dollars aren't just funding Zelensky's parties, but they're also
according to Gio, they're one of the same, I'm sure.
Ukrainian lobbying into Canada. I wouldn't be surprised.
There's a lot of far right people that are like, oh, they want to create a new thing there, but that's me, and I actually talked about this in the war report. I don't think they really would want to build a new home in a bombed out war zone. That's kind of ridiculous.
You wouldn't want to take advantage.
What's their current one though?
Yeah, their current one. I mean, a much more hospitable climate, one of the most arable regions in Eastern Europe. I don't know. It sounds like not a half bad deal. Plus, you're closer to getting what you would want, which is total Slav removal.
Oh yeah, true. But I mean, no, I think for whatever, the Ukrainians are going to have to take a deal eventually. And so whatever happens to Western Ukraine in terms of the Western powers deciding what's, oh, well, your whole, your society's been totally depopulated. Well, I guess we have to bring in more migrants, right?
Hey, Gio, you want to hear?
I want to call it Bolero393 in the chat says, how dare they Leafs should be beholden to the USA. I just wanted to say, yeah, we beholden your false teeth while we down the stairs.
Okay, no Fed posting.
That's not a Fed post. That's just a dude post.
No, but I think that with Ukraine, it's interesting because I mean, of course, all the money they're getting is probably from America and from other Western powers. So, I mean, of course, here's the thing. The Canadian government doesn't need
Speaking of Canadians, Gio, I hate to interrupt, but I have to ask because I almost already know the answer. Do you have another tab open that has the Stanley Cup final updates going on?
No, I do not.
Wow, I'm genuinely surprised.
Now that you reminded me.
Yeah, now that I've reminded him, he's going to go do it. In the same way we've been live earlier in the hockey season where he's like, oh, wait, sorry, I'm not paying attention with camera on because I'm checking out the game.
I'm just not as invested because if it's not the Toronto Maple Leafs, but it was a miracle. It was a miracle last game that they managed to beat the Panthers 8-1. That was pretty insane. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know what happened with Bobrovsky, but I mean, I want to win. I want Edmonton to win the cup. But anyways, my point being is that it's not, the Canadian government doesn't need more incentive to lobby their hearts out for Ukraine. I mean, Trudeau made a huge spectacle of himself on this G7 peace talk, which of course didn't include Russia, because God forbid they include Russia on a peace talk, right? Logic. That he was there and he said Slava Ukraine over and over again, and it's just a total embarrassment. But this foreign lobby thing has been quite an uproar. But anyways, you shoot us some times. You talk. I don't know if you have any takes. Then we'll move on.
Gio, do you want to hear a funny story? I mentioned this on the show the other day, but I think you might get a kick out of this. So here's how I could tell that the war in Ukraine wasn't going very well. There is a Ukrainian restaurant that I like to frequent, a nice pierogi house, Gio. And for the entire duration of the war, line up around the corner, and then one day I go there, no lineups. No one's buying pierogies. And that's the day I knew that people stopped giving out that war.
Yeah, because they probably did like donate, every pierogi bought is another donation to Azov Battalion.
Yeah, I just like the pierogies. I just like that place. So this is good for me.
Apparently, the USG is lifting their restriction on Azov. Not that they had one to begin with. That was just a paper thing. I could imagine that a lot of American weapons was finding their way to Azov and Kraken.
I can't wait for all the tankies out there on Twitter to be like, see, America is a fascist state.
I can't wait for Infrahaus to make his
I can't wait for traitor to America Jackson Hinkle to tell me how fascist America is. I can't wait.
But he's a God-fearing American communist, Prude. That's what he said.
He's not an American in any way, shape, or form. Sorry.
But he has the
If
AI
America
image where
is so fascist, why am I so upset?
America's so fascist, why am I complaining on Twitter?
I mean,
if America was a fascist state, I don't think I'd be allowed to complain on Twitter.com.
Gio's over there sweating
bullets. He's looking at that monetization dollar like, you bastards.
Just the broken line graph going down.
Oh my god. Hopefully.
You opened the episode with like press S to spit on Noam Chomsky. I think it's pretty much over for you, buddy.
That's not YouTube demonetized. Well, maybe, I don't know.
It'd be funny if Gio lost money every time there's like an edgy comment, like his bank account gets smaller.
It's like, okay, I
don't know
how many of you. So there's this. They have this bit in like season 4 of the Venture Brothers where some guy pays with like an ultra rare first edition Superman comic, and the running bit throughout the show is like it exchanges hands, like the comic value decreases. So like every edgy joke, Gio looks at his like Google AdSense and he sees it just like skyrocketing down into the negatives. He's like, why am I still doing this?
Oh my god. You people
it's
are
just
mean.
Guys being dudes. It's the stream of the summer.
It sure is.
It's almost is it technically summer?
2 days away.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's
We're
been
in
a brutal heat.
Yeah.
Hey, Jude, it's hot enough for you?
Yeah, dude. We were in Frontenac yesterday, and it was like 32 degrees. It was wild.
Okay, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What's the purpose
Yeah, it
of
actually
you
is
going out
pretty,
there? What are you doing?
pretty toasty.
In Frontenac, I was sitting by the lake.
You going out there sucking and you know what? I'm not going to say it.
Just driving.
I'm not going to say it.
Road tripping.
Well, he was going out there with.
Did you have a drink in your hand?
Me? 2
Yeah.
at least.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, the foreign interference thing, that's quite something. I mean, hopefully, I just know that they're holding things back because.
Could you imagine if like all this
right?
news comes out and you guys, like all these members of parliament, all these MPs, they have like an Indian guy, that like tells them how to vote on certain issues. You know how Thomas Massey's like, yeah, let me just call my APAC guy, but in Canada the I stands for India.
let me.
Well, honestly, we were joking the other day that I would feel a lot better if it affected us to make their subversion a bit less obvious. So it's like every time they've actually outed a case where a MP or an MPP was actually tied in with a foreign government, it's like, oh, so we got you'll never guess, it was like John Wang, and he famously ran on the China Strong ticket. It's like it's just like, oh, who could be in the top of the foreign government? Is it
economy
the
strong.
Indian guy?
Shout out to
Indian
Argent.
guys.
Shout out to Argent. I love when Argent does that segment. He's like, China economy strong.
Well, no, what kills me
everything.
in America about that, because Chinese spying in the United States is bad. It's a serious insult to the idea of sovereignty. But they'll have all these papers by sociologists that like will write these papers for the war colleges, and they're just like, well, actually, you need to be looking at like white soldiers and officers that are willing to trade secrets. And I'm like, I don't know. Every time that we arrest someone or court-martial someone, it's always like, I don't know, Jack Chang or Hong Xiang or whatever. Like, I'm pretty sure I know who the culprit is in this one. And
That's like if America went to war with Mexico.
And turns out every single time doesn't apply to just one ethnic group.
The other thing is it skews heavily towards first-gen immigrants. Like, it's not even the children immigrants. If you go to the West Coast, you got all kinds of third, fourth, fifth-gen Chinese. But it's almost exclusively like immigrants from the past 15 years. Like, it's so easy to catch this. Like, come on. They're not even trying.
Well, it's like if America ever had a serious incursion into Mexico because of the.
I can't wait.
No, but like, but then you'd have
That's
that
like the only war I'd volunteer for.
No, but then you'd have like people giving info to the cartels. You know,
I'd sneak into America to go to war with Mexico.
He's got his sombrero stapled to the door, waiting for the day.
Dude, I got like, I've already read My Confession by Samuel Chamberlain. I'm ready to do this again.
It would be the only war that would actually. Like, I don't know, but then I'm skeptical of neocons who are like, yeah, we should totally go to war with Mexico. That's a good idea. It's
talk about a bipartisan issue.
Guys,
like all these young men are like
not only are we going to go to war with Mexico, but like the entire southeastern American border is also hostile territory where cities that are awful, like Albuquerque or San Francisco, might be a war zone. It sounds like a huge plus.
Phoenix might
just rewrite Civil War so it's cool.
Yeah. Just rewrite Alex Garland's Civil War where it's basically like the Aztlan plan versus Heartlanders.
Yeah.
Then you'd have
just do Civil War where the main character is that guy by the body pit with the pink sunglasses.
I like how Jesse Plemons has been like permanently typecast as like, hey, we need a white racist where it's so obvious that he's wearing rose-colored glasses about America. Yep, Jesse, you're up every single time.
I wonder if it'll kind of be like the Ukraine war. Like, what will be a good place in Texas or wherever to have like the Azovstal bunker? It would be like, I don't know,
San Antonio.
Yeah, the San Antonio.
That's literally where the Alamo is. Like, come on.
Yeah, true.
I like that was first thing. It's like the rose-colored glasses about America's past. It's like, oh, that analogy went over your head. No, it intersected with my head and ricocheted off. I don't accept that. He's just a cool guy in a great scene.
But be real, guys. Though, be real. Like,
I still haven't seen that movie. I just know that the thesis is I trans heart journalists. That's Alex Garland's.
Cool. You gotta see it. You guys gotta see it. You gotta see it. It's so bad.
Wow, Stuart Skinner's on his game tonight. Anyways,
wow, chat. Yeah, it pays $100. We'll go watch it.
No, but be real. Like, both of you guys. I mean, I shouldn't ask you who you're gonna vote for, but like the only reason I would vote for Poilievre would be to get rid of basically to quash the Harms bill as a stillbirth type of legislation. That would be the only reason. He's terrible in immigration, and the course isn't going to get reversed. Amirazov stall bunker. No, but like, are you contemplating voting conservative? Like, I've always voted conservative. It's just, the thing you do. I mean in Canada, there's no other option, really. I mean, apart from Bernier, but like, that's.
Well, that's the I'd vote for Bernier. I'd vote for him before.
Same. I've been voting for Bernie since I moved back. I mean, I used to vote conservative. I think the Conservatives are going to win either way. I just want to give Bernie more votes so that I think he might be able to get a couple of seats within the next 10 years. I think if things don't go completely south, he just needs support. But I don't think it matters what any of us vote. It's going to be a Conservative win unless there's some vote counting possible.
But what I don't understand is that the media hates him anyways, and they're going to call him an Austrian painter anyways. Why can't he just up the rhetoric against immigration? Is it that he wants to court, like, for example, Sikhs that vote conservative, or is it's just that Canada operates at a different level than America?
In my opinion, it's because he's controlled. Like, he really is just the other side of the same coin.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to get in control. He might actually change a couple of things in our favor, but it's still going to be the same long road of it's just going to be a different flavor. So, I mean, yeah.
No, that's
right, Pascal. He will be.
But also, the thing that separates Bernier and the People's Party of Canada from something like, the AFD, if there's a wave of right-wing populism washing over Europe, the question is, can something like that happen in Canada? Now, we have an opportunity with the People's Party of Canada, but it's nowhere near what you would think. And I think Bernier, if you were to get him talking, to get a couple of rum and gingers in him or something, I bet he would confess some beliefs that will align with some of our more radical stuff. However, he lacks the proper machine behind him. He really is it's the house that Bernier built. That's what the People's Party of Canada is. It's just him and a scattershot of people. But if he actually had a machine similar to what the AFD did, a network of disparate groups could join together, and there was a real movement. It's not, the PPC isn't a movement. It's not a political force.
Yeah.
If it was, you could get something like that going. But without that, he's, like Judah said, it's just going to be, business as usual. It'll ramp up the temperature slightly on immigration, but that's ramping up anyway. That's not because of him. It's, so you need someone leading that, I think.
I wanted to mention that the same anecdote, Dimes, that I had brought up to you the other day. We had a by-election here last year, and it's a pretty conservative county. And the conservative candidate was actually pushing on a platform of keeping trans in schools and like reducing taxes and giving rights back to small business owners and stuff like that. Which
was that Randy Hillier or no?
No, it's Jamil Javani. And
that guy, yeah.
But the thing is, Javani's from Mississauga and he's an Indian. So I don't know, like Mississauga is not my county, but apparently he's representing my county because he owns a house here. So he's an outsider and an Indian, but he was on that platform and he won, but he won with like 50% 53, 55%.
He was on the Vivek Ramaswamy platform of like
the thing that pissed me off about that is his whole platform. Poilievre doesn't mention that his federal platform. The only guy who does is Bernier, but Bernier, like the People's Party, Bernier's candidate in our county was this like very sweet old lady, but she's like a magic crystals, spirit healing new age person.
I vote for her.
Talked. Yeah, I voted for her too because I wanted CPC to win. And you know what? She got 13% of the vote. So with the weakest candidate I've seen in that whole election, at least 13% of us voted for her anyways, just because we wanted Bernier.
An aging hippie new age.
You're right. But this is the point. Like we're saying, that many people can see it when you have that much of a weak candidate. 13% of us still voted. Imagine if you had a candidate whose platform was as strong as Giovanni, but was actually a white grandma or a white grandfather. Can you he would have had 60-70%. So my frustration is, why isn't PPC getting better people and fielding better candidates? Where are these people coming from?
Yeah. Oh my God. No, but who in the chat was it? Joe Biggs? Is that the real Joe Biggs from InfoWars, or is that some other guy named Joe Biggs? Indians will literally say anything to you, suck up. Well, I mean, Vivek, I think there was a sort of a mercenary thing where he was testing the waters. He was seeing what got engagement.
To build off of that, like I think it's important to understand the context and the backdrop, because I mean, like, Vivek probably did run, and he was way more mediocre, moderate milquetoast when he wrote his sort of book, or like Woke Inc. or whatever it was called. Because
he wrote a book called Woke Inc.
Something
what a
like
loser.
That. Yeah.
God.
So I mean, he was like a very milquetoast, like kind of like disaffected lib, like so many people in the Republican Party. But I mean, this is where
uncancelable.
Well, we'll get into that, but. So I mean, this is why that like interview he did with Anomaly or whatever that dude's name is was really interesting, because Anomaly was like, "Hey, in this book, you sound like a total libtard," and he's like, "Well, I've kind of like changed my opinion on that, where you're praising Mike Pence for being who he was on J6, but there's in the backdrop of all of this, so there's been a lot of like ethnic infighting inside the Republican Party, like apparatus writ large, where prior to Ronna McDaniel stepping down, when there was a sort of this election for the RNC chairmanship a few years ago, it was Ronna McDaniel versus Kamit Hill, this Indian woman, I think from Connecticut or New Hampshire, who is a lawyer, GOP consultant.
What's her name?
Like Kamit Dillon. Go look her up. And she had quite a bit of endorsement, because I mean, people are rightfully pissed off at Ronna McDaniel because she's wasted so much money on these elections. And, we can talk about candidate quality, but I mean, like, Dr. Oz isn't a Republican in any way, shape, or form. And like 5 minutes ago, he's like pro-mutilating kids. Plus, he wants to vote for a Turkish guy anyway. But so on the backdrop of all this, you had Vivek Ramaswamy on the debate stage not too long ago in the primary saying, like, you should resign, Ronna. And eventually she would. But there is this subcontinental push to sort of be a big part of the echelons of the Republican Party. And I think that you're going to see that more as the party, deals with an increasingly diversified electorate with the whole multiracial whiteness strategy. But I mean, you do have a lot of disaffected it's sort of like the Californian ideology complaint, where it's like we love the state to bail us out from foreign interests, but also like we want to be laissez-faire kind of libertarian types. And that stuff, I think, is still going to play a very powerful role, as basically all of America's tech sector has got Indian CEOs.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, and we talked
Yeah, I mean,
about
like
this
Vivek can say what he wants to say, even if he totally butchers the interpretation of the Great Replacement, just because it's a brown guy saying it, you know?
Well, yeah, but obviously I think they were trying to, I forget who said this take. It may have been Nightmare Vision. They were trying to like A/B test. Like one is a moderate Indian woman, the other's like says semi-base things that he probably heard from Silicon Valley tech bros who rub shoulders with other like weirdo rationalist, less wrong framework. So I imagine like Vivek probably got some talking points from, I don't know, Robin Hanson or whoever. Harmeet Dillon, that's her name.
Oh, Harmeet? Okay. Thought it was Kameet Dillon.
Oh man, Harmeet Dillon.
Oh,
Okay.
Harmeet.
Yeah,
Okay. Got it.
what I was going to say was like that's a big issue that we
fellas?
talked about on the show.
No.
Sorry.
No, I'm kidding. What we're gonna say, Dimes, fellas?
Oh yeah, sorry.
so
I don't know,
hot?
maybe I'm cutting out or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm cutting out or anything, but this is something that we've talked about on the show before, and people have mentioned it in the chat here, where Indians will basically say anything to get in your good graces, and that is true. And I don't think that, like you were talking about the Republican Party just there, like what you have is a bunch of old white people who in minorities to say things that they can't, but I really don't.
Yeah, like base black guys or
have
whatever. Yeah, the base black guy.
Yeah, they don't have the firmware upgrade to deal with the Indian mind, basically. Like they kind of understand how to deal with Muslims. They kind of understand how to deal with blacks. They don't understand what the Indian mind is like. They don't understand the caste system. That is an ancient, crazy world. So to them, they're not ready to grapple with the interconnectedness of that realm. And so and this is the problem in Canada too. Like you're not ready to comprehend the wave that's hitting us right now. It happened in Silicon Valley. You woke up one day, why are there Indians everywhere? They weren't prepared for that sort of Machiavellianness. So anyway, that's just, I don't think they've learned anything.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I think it's still happening.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I think that and of course, like, I mean, Canada's been hit the hardest, but we'll see what happens in the future. I mean, they're not, so that's why I think the argument about like high IQ immigrants are even, in some ways, they're even worse. You know what I mean? Like,
they're smart enough to game the system, play it against you, and form their own enclaves where it's not so Gibbs. Instead, it's tax breaks. Yeah, I think I know which one is worse.
Yeah.
Because I think like a lot of the a lot of the labor migrant forces, that's different, and that's a situation you could probably easily control. But when you have people coming here that do establish themselves, it's way harder to be, you know what I mean, like relatively to be like, okay, you're going back, it's harder to
they've got houses and cars
remigrate.
and cottages and careers and the 401k, and they've got their own communities and church membership, and it's
they're
bad.
they don't want to go back.
And then the worst part, in my experience, has been you get a handful of them. There might be 5 or 10% of them who have made a genuine attempt to integrate into Canadian culture. And the problem with them is they're the anchor. They're the ones making excuses and all the apologetics for the others. And it's like, I mean, like you might even be friends with some of these guys because they're actually sometimes they're decent guys, but like you kind of all have to go. If you're going to act as a block, vote as a block, work as a block, you're going to exclude everyone who's non-Indian from your workspace and from your businesses. I'm sorry, you all have to go. There's no way around it. And you did this to yourself.
And a point on that front, and I think this might sound extreme to some, but I think it needs to be said, is that I think the name of the game in the entire immigration debate is one word, and that one word is remigration. And that is top of the list over in Germany. But that is notably where Marine Le Pen has pulled back, where she's anti-immigration, but she's not in favor of remigration. But that is the natural conclusion to this, because at the baseline, if you have these anti-mass migration sentiments. You have to understand what undergirds all that is I do not want this many of these types of people here, even though sometimes that's not said, but really that is what people want, even though they won't say it. And so that needs to be on the table. And they've only just started talking about that now. And that's the sort of thing I don't think Bernier is ready to talk about. But I think if maybe you can frame it in a national security context, maybe there's something there.
Well,
but
Bernier has.
I'm
actually
interested in
mentioned-
seeing where that pops up.
Bernier recently mentioned that he thinks all of the students should be sent back and the schools should have their licenses revoked. So he's at least said all of these students, they're not really students, they're gaming the system. All of them should have their visas taken away and be sent back, and the schools should all be shut down. So it's like, yeah, he's the only guy actually saying this. And again, it's extreme. I wonder if the reason he doesn't have good people is because the people are afraid of even getting involved. I don't know.
No, of course. I mean, the Conservative Party would never say something like that, at least its current iteration.
Yeah.
Because they're just so focused on, like, the CBC is going to, like, what's her name? Rosemary Barton's going to call me racist again. But, yeah, so, like, there's a lot of, I noticed that the Conservative Party, I mean, this is a common theme in all Anglosphere countries, that Conservative parties or parties of the political right or moderate right, they really have an addiction to snatching defeat of the jaws of victory. So we'll see what happens. But let's move on. We've been talking about Leaf stuff for 40 minutes. I know Prude has been silent.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, Canada
is
is a country. It's north of America. Just
Canada is not a country. Canada is a post-national economic zone.
So is America, but I mean, like,
Canada's
come on.
Oh yeah, so is
where
America
gets their lunch.
I mean, this also, speaking of Canadians, because this is the one time I get to have you guys on, I get to talk about a certain Canadian that I think everyone can take the piss on. So don't you love it, speaking of Canadian politics, when, like, a certain gentleman who's very popular with some crowds, cough, cough, vocal distance, will, like, talk about how to politically engage the system, but he lives in fucking Saskatchewan with, like, a population of 1.2 million people. Don't you love that?
Yeah.
Don't you love hearing that as a political strategy, as the way forward to, like, ban strip
ban
clubs?
the woke? Yeah.
Ban the woke? Buddy, I live in a state of, like, what, 40 million plus people at this point due to illegal immigration. I can't.
Are strip clubs woke?
Who are you talking to? I want to sink my teeth into this guy.
Vocal
you're gonna have
Vocal
distance.
distance.
Vocal distance. You're gonna have fun
Vocal
with this.
pistons.
Local distance. Oh no.
Vocal
That's his
pistons.
name. That's his name. Have
Why
fun
do we
with
keep
that.
calling it like?
Because
No,
the other slur you came up with him would definitely get the yellow dollar sign.
Yeah. No, but like, are like strip clubs woke now? I don't understand. Like,
No, he's just doing the whole, like, degeneracy thing, which, I mean, fine. I'm okay with, like,
I
getting
feel
rid of
like
strip
some-
clubs, but, like, that's such a low.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna get rid of strip clubs, why aren't you, like, passing local
Yeah.
ordinances to ban pride parades or to
Yeah.
get district attorneys to not charge people that
For sure.
Pride do like donuts on Pride street walks. Yeah.
For me, like, if that, well, one, I don't guess where they're gonna put a pride street walk down, but I mean, even if they did, I would be campaigning for, like, a Republican district attorney candidate who's gonna, not charge people who want to piss on pride flags.
I could just imagine, like, if Donald Trump gets elected, you'll have the same media coverage in, like, the Atlantic, that you'd have about, like, remember when the Taliban took over Afghanistan and they, like, took down the advertisements with women? It's like they'll have a thing where, like, they're painting over the rainbow crosswalk and it's like, this is Donald Trump America, exactly like ISIS, exactly like the Taliban. It's like,
well, no, because you already had that with, like, the New
they're
Statesman or
painting
whatever.
over this with Walmart signs.
I'm
sorry.
They're like,
This is
yeah,
now an
they're-
Einstein bagels.
It's like that. You know that meme? Like, you wake up. It's like, you wake up. It's 2007, and one of my favorite tweets was the one where it was Bill O'Reilly. It's like, wake up! They're building an Oscar at 9/11. We got to defend freedom fries. It's a war on Christmas. And on.
None of those things have ever truly changed.
What?
They only got worse.
Yeah.
Wait, Trump, Orange Man. They say Orange Man is bad. Wake up, Anon. They're building a mosque at Ground Zero. We have to defend the war on Christmas.
Look,
Yeah,
I just gotta say, whoever's in charge of
please,
selecting these comments, now we got Marbley's just saying local jizz fan. This is hot stuff. I should see this on screen.
Okay, none of that.
None of that. So no, because this is what's me this. So like last fall, and I don't know if you're on Twitter, Judas, but they had this.
Put your ad. I didn't know what your ad was, Judas.
If you are on Twitter, let us know so I can follow you. But they had this like debate that Chris Rufo hosted. And it was about Charles Haywood's like no enemies to the right or on the right, as he's sort of evolved it. But I mean, it couldn't have been more clear as day about what time it is and what kind of kayfabe that sort of this establishment, well, I guess New Right is trying, where it's basically two white guys that have millions of dollars on hand, which was Nate Fisher of New Founding and Charles Haywood, our lovely shampoo magnate, against Neil Shenvi, who does not look particularly white to me, and that last name either, and Wokel Distance, who is not, let's say
he's
not
a
very
white guy.
wasp. He's and
yeah, that's
yeah. So easy there with Schrodinger's minority.
No,
so
but
they
he's not gay though. He's married to.
No, sure. That's not the point that I'm getting at. I'm just simply saying that it was two white guys who clearly knew what time it was and are actively spending their money and efforts to provide for their families and for others. And then two guys that are like, well, this is bad because you guys don't follow the liberal shibboleths of white people bad. And our religion must mandate adultery. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It might be for you, but my religion doesn't mandate that. So get out of here. But he's like, yeah.
Did you see
clearly,
Joel Berry today?
Oh, yeah. Joel Berry calling Warren McIntyre a discount Rush Limbaugh and trying to paint him as absolutely insane.
I'd love to be called a discount Canadian Rush Limbaugh.
I was going to say, I would love
that
to
would be a great honor to me. That would be a great honor because I think that's the conversation no one's ready to have yet on the E-Right is like, actually, a lot of you entertainers and content creators and streamers out there, ourselves included, owe a lot to Rush Limbaugh. And
you know what
you are?
You're a skibbity Limbaugh. Well, I mean,
really?
Let's not say the actual. Let's say Austrian Painter is not. This is never getting monetized.
This is gonna get beeped out in post so bad.
I'm gonna have to edit so much of this episode. But
actually, guys, be sure to give Gio an extra super chat or two because he actually goes through the effort of editing these things, where my dumbass does not edit these things in post.
You didn't edit out those words yet?
I sure didn't.
I mean, you have to wait for it to download a little bit, but then you'll.
I sure didn't. I even laughed because I did this and I said, "Oh, I'll edit a ceiling bird chirp in post," and I openly laughed out loud as I was recording. I was like, "Who am I kidding? I never edit in post."
Everyone, make sure to give Gio a few shekels. The stream's landlord.
Don't call it shekels. Don't. Oh,
it's a legitimate occurrence.
No, I know, but everyone knows it's like the 4chan meme. Everyone knows.
What about rupees?
How about dreidel?
Yeah,
how about
but calling them rupees will be racist soon enough. You know,
Fine.
you'll
drachmas.
Yeah, maybe we'll call them rupees,
how about pieces of silver since Judas is
there we go. Hey.
Apparently that's also anti whatever, but
I mean,
everything to do with Christian. Notice how they label.
No,
but notice how they label everything to do with Christianity is inherently anti.
Well, yeah. That's the whole point.
We got Gio and an etic rant.
I know. Well, I mean, that's the whole point. Like all these laws that are like, well, you can't say this and that. I'm like,
can't say Christ is king. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that too. But also, like, let's not kid ourselves. All those laws. I mean, if you're a fundamentalist on Christianity, like, you're going to acknowledge the fact that anytime these laws get passed, it's going to target the religion that these people hate, since it happened 2,000 years ago. Like, it's pretty straightforward.
First of all, I think that war in Mexico line should have gotten more. Judas, you left me in the lurch again.
What wasn't that 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, it was like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Also,
so
Judas,
anyways,
did you pick your username this way? Like, are you because like you were an expat for a while, or was this is there some lore here that we don't know?
You were an expat?
Yeah, I lived in Hong Kong for 10 years, but it doesn't have anything to do with my name. I was Judas in high school when Dimes and I were buddies. But yeah.
Yeah, we've known each other since like early in high school.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
We're in our like mid-30s. Christ, that would have been a long time ago.
Is it more than 20 years?
Was Kowloon Walled City still there? Or
It is
they got
not.
rid of it?
No, but you know what?
Okay.
My because my wife was born there and emigrated here when she was 3 or 4, and it was still there when she left, and she's got pictures of it.
Wow.
Because we actually lived near enough to the site when we were there that we could walk to it all that, and we did. It's a
They
beautiful
have a park
there.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a beautiful, really one of the nicest parks in the city. Actually, is there. So very nice.
I did a huge mega show on Content Minded on Kowloon Walled City a few weeks ago.
That's
So
cool. It's a very, very cool thing. I love the concept. I think we should build another one. We should build 100 more.
Oh yeah, 100%. No, it's
So
like there
what
was
is
a
that for
romance.
the folks
You can see that if you just look across from Scenic Drive in El Paso, and you just look at Juarez. Like
It's
it's
not
in the making.
same.
It's in the making.
It's not the same.
Yeah, I know, because it
yeah.
has the sepia yellow filter because it's in Mexico, and it doesn't have.
Yeah,
the
it doesn't
weird,
have the yeah.
No,
but it's not as
high-pitched
vertical.
string music.
No, but I guess
it doesn't. And
favelas
of
are
course,
kind
it's
of
not as vertical. They're all short down there.
Oh, you know what I mean? Like it's...
Yeah, I know. But for the
but
kids
like,
who are watching at home, what is the Kowloon Walled City?
Kowloon Walled City was basically the creation of a dispute between the Chinese and the British when they loaned Hong Kong to the British for 99 years. Basically, it was an extrajudicial legal zone that was a small part of the city that became a lawless, self-contained, almost mega structure like city where there was DIY architecture, all sorts of industry controlled by triads, any sort of illicit activity or substance that you could get your hand on, up to and including dog meat. And it was this flourishing, like the most densely populated place in the world at one point. And it was only within a few city blocks. And they
It's
only
like
could
Mega
build
City
up, I
1.
believe.
Yeah,
Exactly. It was the first true megastructure city. And there was no regulations. There was wires and piping everywhere, and it was the population fluctuated over many decades, but then it was torn down because it became this huge corrupt hellhole that was sort of a blight on the Chicons. And of course, they stopped. They didn't want illegal meat and fish balls flowing into Hong Kong.
So
tourist
it did
districts
not bring joy.
It didn't bring it brought joy to many people, but not the the Chinese government.
They didn't want
that was like
dog meat flowing into China.
Yeah, so and illegal fish balls. Yeah. So the first act of the Chinese government when they bought Hong Kong, or rather they took Hong Kong back from the British, was to demolish Kowloon Walled City.
Yep.
So, and the reason they call it Walled City is because it was from the wall, because originally it was a barracks
because
the British. Well, they took the walls weren't there, but it looked like a giant wall. No, it did look like a giant wall.
Mm-hmm. A giant
because the buildings,
wall, people, one beautiful.
The buildings
wall.
would like lean together. There was no building regulation whatsoever, so there was all like DIY.
Yeah,
so
I mean they began.
So this is like Michael Malice's like dream and castle.
Essentially,
yes.
They had an abandoned military fort with walls around it, and they started building lean-tos against the wall, like a homeless camp. And over 100 years, the camp got taller and taller and taller around the original foundation until it was like 15 floors of shanties. Yeah, it's insane.
They couldn't
we should
build
send Michael
past...
Malice there.
You know how
does Michael Malice know about China?
Oh, of course.
Can we just drop him off there one time just to see what happens?
Never come back.
But you know what's funny?
He could be a gossip writer there, like when he first got started writing about drama in New York City.
He thought there was just North Korea. He didn't know there's anything past that.
Yeah. No, but you know what's crazy is that do you remember TV Ameriqua? Do you remember those edits?
No.
Oh well, he had this one edit. He used to be affiliated with the Weekly Sweat, and he used to do these like edited videos where he wore a ski mask and a suit. And one of them was called Libertarian City Simulator, Libertarian City Sims, and it like basically was Kowloon Walled City. It's like it was funny. You could still find it in a bit.
That sounds too good for the Weekly Sweat.
That sounds like really high production value.
Well, it was high production, but hey, I gotta admit, the Weekly Slut was an event back in the day when it was Beardson and Sean. I mean, Sean was the brains, but like, it was a pretty good show for a while, And yeah, allegedly they did sell rat meat, but I think that was just a Twitter poster that did the Kowloon rat meat thing. There was no evidence that they sold rat. They did sell dog meat, but not rat.
What if you swapped that out just instead of you just changed the city? Just like
look at the Syrian friend comment here. Can you read that for me,
Wuhan dog meat Wuhan
Wuhan
rat meat.
Matthew Wendo drugged out QT Kowloon Wall Dime Square. The Kowloon Wall Dime
we
Square.
can invent that again. Okay, listen. Escape from
We
New
can make
York.
we can make
We can
Kowloon
wall the entire city, and we
Wall
can make
Dime Square.
Kowloon walled city in New York. Like, it can happen.
Is there any problem that walls don't fix?
Truly, there
No.
isn't. Well, I mean, except planes, but we can fix that. The walls
Speaking
can have
of
anti-air.
Speaking of Dime Square, did you see that Anna dropped a new T-shirt for Red Scare? She never mind.
No, I have Anna blocked on
Oh,
Twitter.
is it cool? Is it really cool and great,
The
Gio?
picture's pretty. What do you
Is it tastefully mid, Gio?
It's tastefully mid, yes.
Yeah.
Kowloon Gutter Oil Griper.
See, Kowloon gutter oil, the real
Kowloon
cause
Gutter
of
Oil
gain-of-function
Griper.
research.
Yeah. No, the gutter oil thing's fascinating. There's that South African guy that lived in China for like 15 years, and he makes all these videos about China.
Yeah,
and I think
Serpent ZA Winston. Yeah.
Yeah, and he also makes videos about South Africa too. But I believe his video went super viral when he came out with the gutter oil video.
Yep.
But yeah, it's actually it's terrifying to
So
live
you got
there.
a comment here from Big Ben. Back walls are annoying. This is some good.
Back walls are annoying.
What?
How do you get the wall on StreamYards? How do you do that? The full.
Oh,
I have to pay for it, I
the
guess.
Geo.
No, we're using OBS Virtual Cam.
Is that how you?
You donkey.
I don't know how to do that. How do I do that?
Oh,
Download and
mind.
Oh,
install
you're talking
OBS.
go install OBS.
No, I
You
have
walk
OBS.
through it right
but
now.
Okay, go turn it on.
Forget about it.
Press start virtual cam.
It's all
You-
right. Don't worry
This is
about
good
it.
content.
This is
This
great
is good.
content.
No, we're gonna walk through this
anyways.
because I love it. I'm
We're
so
gonna
happy that I
we're
figured
gonna walk
this
you
out, 'cause
through this on air in the same way I've tried to walk you through Entropy several times.
I finally did it. I finally.
I know, and I'm
by the way, go to Entropy.
I'm
It's
so
linked in
proud
the-
of you. I'm so proud of you. And
yeah,
I love
link
you.
in the description for
So
Entropy.
what? So now your OBS is installed, right?
I
you
have
turned it
OBS,
on?
yes.
Have you turned it on?
No, let's do it later. Let's
No,
do
no,
it
no, no,
later.
no. We're gonna walk through this. I want chat to be here for this special moment. Turn
Oh
on
my
OBS.
god, it's 2-0 Edmonton. Anyways,
This is a good
Wow.
day.
It's a great day for Canada.
I think McJesus got another
I'm
goal.
glad we visited all the different points we had planned out for this stream.
Oh, we haven't
I
yet,
hope-
because we haven't even
So-
talked about hello, my fellow Machiavellians.
Do you guys hope? I hope they trade Mitch Marner on the Leafs. I hate Mitch Marner. He's got to go. Anyways,
This is
Deport.
like, for me, this is an absolute treat because this is like the third time I've talked to Dimes in a month, and those are usually like a quarterly event for me. So this is just a chef's kiss.
Beauty.
No, because I've.
what do you
I've been
guys
a
think? Do you think they
fan
should
of
trade
the
Mitch
show
Marner?
for so long too?
Anyways, let's get on to more substantial.
Judas, what do you think? Do you think they should trade the fellow?
Hold on,
you
hold on.
said
I'm
about?
asking ChatGPT to create an image of Mitch Marner with a bucket on his head. Give me 2 minutes.
Well, why don't we just Photoshop it like actual human beings?
I'll be
Forget
back in
it.
10 minutes. Hold on.
Oh Lord.
They need that cap space. There's no other way. They got to get a good goaltender. That's the only way they're gonna do it. Anyways, so let's move on to is there any more like pressing news that is happening lately besides drama that I don't want to talk about because it'll probably like get a bunch of like low IQ people on our
There's
ass.
drama.
There's no drama whatsoever.
Sure, you don't want to talk about.
There's no
Gio?
drama in. that
I'll
one
save it for the
city.
Cole report.
The Cole report, where things are behind there. Well, you had the let's see here. You
this
had
episode's
the-
legendary.
Such a great time. So you had
Okay,
that.
can we get Nudge Unit up here too? What if we touch
Oh,
butts and Calvin
let's
Walls?
get next. Unit.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god. Gio should be lined up at the back wall. No.
Oh no.
The Colbert report. The Colbert report. Oh,
That's actually a way better. You should have kept it either as This Week in Coal.
Yeah.
You should have done that.
Yeah, but it was
no,
that's too unoriginal.
The Colbert report. Well, that's also unoriginal because it's the Colbert report. But like,
yeah,
come on,
true.
pay homage.
I'm
to the
fucking
people
pissed
who
off. He
got
didn't
you
start a
here.
show called Geopolitics.
I know.
No, because Piff Jack made that joke like 2 years ago, and I've never liked it since.
Piffinard. I think Piffinard went. Never mind.
Yeah,
he went to a certain event this week. But he's still a good friend of mine. But let's move on to. Okay, listen, guys. I'm serious now. Okay, you're gonna blow this for me. Let's talk about the thing, but you gotta promise to be nice. I just interviewed the guy with Kathrine, and it was a pretty good interview. So I watched that paywalled episode, Dime. So please, just be nice.
What'd you think? Was it great?
I thought it was awesome.
You got angry. You're like, we don't need people like you. You're doing like. I imagine you were pointing your fingers. Like, do you remember like
when Dimes gets angry on these shows, he turns into a full dollar.
Oh my god. That's like, like Big Spence when you did that speech at Seaville, he was like pointing his finger. I can imagine point the fingers. He's like, me looking down at you. I can imagine doing that.
I love that. Yeah, that interview where he's like, I don't like gross people.
I don't like gross people. I just what are you talking about? That was another good one. That was a classic line. What are you talking about? I think it's kind of over. Like the way he did that face.
It's kind of over.
Yeah, I think it's kind of over. Like that was.
I seriously doubt that.
Chef kiss. Yeah, I seriously doubt that.
Honestly, like, Spencer might be like one of the only one of these guys that comes out.
He's
the
an avant-garde performer who I don't really like all that much, but I appreciate him as an artist.
Look at this.
I like it. He'll be hosting a Twitter space, and he knows someone's there to troll him, and he's like, "All right, the mic is yours," and they just berate him. He goes, "All right, bye." But he like it's like a bit he does where he just lets people know, like, okay, there's something cool in there going on.
Yeah, double cup of lean.
Did you get that out of your system?
All right, goodbye. Remember, he's like goodbye.
Like exasperated.
Anyways.
It's just a great thing.
It's time for you to go. It's so. As if I want someone will write a book about him in this space as him as a artist. I genuinely want that book to be written. Gio, that can be your next book.
Penichetti?
No. Richard Spencer, the performance artist of our time.
He's like Laurence Olivier.
I say this as someone who read like MPI 10 years ago. Like I
admit to that in public
because I was a different guy 10 years ago.
Oh man, I've never read. I may have read a Radix paper once or twice, but I've never like actually I may have listened to his Jonathan Bowden interviews.
But I mean, I've also been reading Countercurrents for years now, so I mean, it's like
what does he do though? Does he doesn't have a platform per se besides Twitter Space? Like, what is he? Does he have a show? Like, does he?
He still does stuff with what's his name?
Is it like in house on?
Mark Brahman?
Yeah, Mark Brahman. Well, he's just stuff with Mark on Substack. I don't
but
follow
does
him
he
as
still
much
have Radix Journal or no?
No, I don't think so.
Probably yeah. Anyways,
well, I mean,
you're
most of
trying
Edward's
to make me think of things I haven't thought about in like 6 years.
What's another viral thing before we move on to the article? What's another
you
viral?
had the let's see here. Let's just go check on the news tab I had open. You had the lovely nurse alleges fraud by doctors. Of course, this is the whole trans stuff at a Texas Children's Hospital.
Oh yeah.
About transgender medical treatments. Let's see here. What else is going on? You had vigilante justice about that Ecuadorian migrant that allegedly a 13-year-old girl.
Oh, apparently in Tennessee.
Well, I can't say what I wish was done for the sake of the show, so I just say that it is an indictment of the judiciary that vigilante justice always worked better.
Apparently, there was another like Bushnell incident here in Canada, in like Winnipeg or somewhere like that. Did you guys hear about that?
Aaron Paul, what happened?
And the guy was. What was he, Palestinian or something? I forget.
It was in front of a mosque or something.
Oh, I was thinking of one. There was like one in a town hall where he went in with an assault rifle and like an SKS, like something unserious. And yeah.
No, I think like there was another immolation case. If I remember.
Oh, an immolation. Oh, you're talking Bushnell. I think it's somebody else. All right.
Yeah, no, that's someone else. No, he Bushnelled. You know what's so brutal? There was this cap by some Black Twitter person where she was like, "Yeah, I generally forgot that he existed." That's like some Reddit stuff, like describing Aaron Bush. See, like these people will never be like, just like spitting in his face. You know, he self-immolated for all of the, for the Palestinians, and they just like, and all of the people, like all of the woke people, just don't care because he was like a white guy.
After he did that, everyone in the world was making fun of him. Like every side you could think of was like clowning on this guy.
I feel
Remember,
bad
guys, you can't say "rest in power" if it's a white guy.
They just like totally spit in his face, though. Like post-mortem, it was.
Well, I mean, like, what is the post-mortem other than like, even if you self as a white progressive, it's not enough in the face of the racial horde that you're trying to appease.
Not even like the alleged Transformer stuff that he was allegedly doing. Like it didn't even matter at that point. So, But anyways,
was he doing it for the Autobots or Decepticons?
Decepticons.
Or at least they have Starscream.
Man, I'm coming tonight. What? I just heard Transformers. I'm like, he's gonna love this one. He's gonna be so happy I said this.
Anyways, let's move on. The Machiavellian article. I believe the war between Walt Bismarck and Dave is still going on.
I think it's kind of come to an end.
Oh yeah.
Because Dave is
as
just
of this recording, like it was like 5 minutes ago they were talking. I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, were they? Because David made the point saying like this guy's doing nothing but like childish insults. Like, why am I bothering?
His Substack article did have like some decent.
Like it was some. It would have made Yarvin blush for how catty and passive aggressive it was.
Yeah.
Like if you thought Yarvin insulting Chris Rufo and I Am 1776 was kind of a like catty thing that he does, then yeah, like this was a whole other level.
Yeah, you know what? I've actually defended Yarvin on a few occasions, but Yarvin is the only guy I've ever seen whose writing is worse than his public speaking. Like his public speaking, he can be kind of forgiven for like stumbling mutter. His writing, he sounds like way cattier and way like he just finds a way to be worse in print, and that's astounding. To me.
Yeah, he's got a particular
that's
catty
his
way
true
of writing,
voice.
yeah.
That's his true voice.
No, but like Yarvin, even public speaking, he does tend to. I mean, I speak in circles though, so I can't really.
Yeah, but I think Yarvin's better at public speaking, and like he's got a voice, but that voice does not he writes like he speaks, and it comes out worse. And he asks more like annoying rhetorical questions, and he's trying to sound cool. He won't try and sound cool in real life because he's not, and he can't be for obvious reasons. Like, look at what he's wearing at any given time. However, in print, he could be whatever he wants. He chooses.
Yeah, but he's pulling New York City. He's pulling Dime Square Art Hose, though.
Who cares?
Who cares? I did, and Dimes just be like, "Oh, I did that back in the day."
He's in New York with all the ladies. He must be really smart. I gotta be just like my buddy Moldbug. I love him.
That's a good impression. I like that impression.
Next thing I'm going to hear is you're going to tell me that my cousin's a lawyer and I'm a failure in life.
I have a podcast about hip hop. Yeah. Oh my god!
Isn't it bad? Well, speaking of hip hop, like the phrase "troll gazing" that actually came from some like hip hop reporter for some New York rag.
Who is it? Charlemagne the God?
No. I'm now looking up the term because
Gio knows hip hop like I do. Like most people, who that is.
Yeah, I don't know that much about hip hop. I've only listened to like some of the old school stuff. I don't know.
There you go.
But Charlemagne is, for anyone wondering, he's a black man who wears makeup. It looks like, and he's supposed to be weird, like the irreverent.
Remember, he tried to grill Ye. Remember,
so
like
Mara Johnston wrote an article in November of 2011 introducing the Troll Gaze Index, and it was about like rap and hip hop albums that were really meant to generate clicks and discussion about it rather than actually be a piece of art itself. And that article from the Village Voice gives you a clue.
The Village Voice is still going?
Well, it was back then. Is the Village Voice still around? Yeah, look at that. It's the website's still up and running. Articles today.
Do they have the Noam Chomsky RIP section or no?
No, because apparently he's not dead yet.
I can't believe it. One of the best
the
interviews
Village
I've ever
Voice
seen
sounding
him.
raspy due to advanced HIV. Sorry,
I'm going to ban Nudge Unit for doing. I'm going to ban Nudge Unit right now. One of the best interviews I've seen of him was in one with Ethan Ralph. His vocal tics were way less prominent. Well, of course, he's got to deal with the Memphis Micro. How are you going to do? Like, I heard you was,
I heard you was a reactionary. What does that mean? That's a little too
in a
Southern
race,
black, but still.
bitch? What's in a Rex?
Lord.
I'm not going to ban Nudge Unit's a good.
See,
friend of
we're
ours.
doing this right before the new federal holiday, which I still don't get why it's a holiday. Why are we celebrating the biggest black layoff in American history?
Oh, June.
Ethan Ralph really does sound like a corrupt cartoon pig sheriff, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he could be a Dude Nukem 3D enemy.
Did you see his recent thing where he's condoning Dick Masterson and Digibro and those? Never mind. I know too much lore.
Come on, Gio. Just let the needle into your veins and talk about drama.
Okay, the Transon family, Digibro, this guy Riley, and another. They're basically kidnapped. Like they're allegedly doing stuff to this severely autistic girl, and they're like pimping her out on OnlyFans. And Dick Masterson is like cool with these guys, or they're part of his crew. And Ethan Ralph was like, "Well, I don't know about that. It's not,
Of course
I done worse. I done worse." So Ethan Ralph,
which is not a thing you just say either. It's like there's trafficking. Yeah, I've done worse than that. What I'm talking about, you huge monster.
Sex or drama. Let's hope. Yeah, no, but it's just like they're like I think her name is Mint Salad. And they're playing pranks on her. They're hitting her for super chats. They're hitting her for super chats, and they're doing all this like weird stuff. And her parents, her adopted parents, are begging to like get her back, but they're making fun of her parents. It's just like
Yeah, I will say this. I know we probably do need to
Joe
move on, but Dick Masterson
why I
has
deleted that video. Don't I have to explain myself why I deleted that drama video?
I was gonna say,
is it
like
the
Eternal
Dick Masterson
one?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was the Men Who Become Kings one. It was
okay.
Spencer and another guy. Yeah. So no, but like it's just anyways. Yeah, let's not talk about Ethan.
Isn't that why you paywall your content?
I paywalled it, yes, but it's just
there you go.
But so yeah, her name is Mint Salad. And she was okay. You know who she is? She's the one that went viral for doing like the Star Wars rant with her jugs are half out, and they gave her a script, obviously, but it's just anyways, let's move on to the article.
That sounds way more interesting than anything Jenny Nichols has done.
Yeah. Do you think Jenny Nichols knows that she's in this like weird like libidinal parasocial relationship with her audience of dweebs and nerds?
Any woman who does it with like the really overly decorated, intimate lighting setting of her bedroom immediately knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
So yes, to quote Norm Macdonald, this just goes to show you, women are whores.
Oh my god! What joke was that from Norm? Was there like a setup?
I couldn't tell you. I had to reference another Canadian I like because there's not many Canadians I do like, and you're like 3 out of 5 of them.
Leave Jenny alone. I don't like Jenny Nichols. It's
my only exposure to Jenny Nichols was like her like 6-hour breakdown about like the Star Wars cruise or whatever thing that she went to, that it was a show. I did not watch the whole thing. I did see some highlights, and then her whole drama with like EFAP from 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
That was my exposure to her. And then anytime I see her pop up on my Twitter timeline, because I follow some like Comicsgate and some old Gamergate people who are all in this anti-woke stuff and male space hobbies. And it's just like, yep, I can see why people like her, because I think she does speak to the like late millennial, early Gen Z kind of like consumer culture for these fandoms. But also at the same time, I'm like, I don't follow and I block most women on Twitter, so I just don't get the appeal.
You know what's funny is that some Comicsgate people were actually nose guarding for Nick Rekieta. That was funny. Like they were, I don't know why. Like it's just Never mind. It's just
Yeah,
sector drama.
Nick and Hunter Biden would be good friends, I think.
Oh yeah. Hunter Biden.
He could be his lawyer, right? Like it'd be like that would be the comic I want, where it could be like high on your own supply. Nick Rekieta, Hunter Biden, two guys going up against the world.
That's the Ethan Ralph legal defense, by the way. He's like, but Nick Rekieta told me it's all right. But Nick Rekieta told me it was all right.
Okay, Nick Rekieta flying down to Mexico to represent Ralph in cartel court.
The chainsaws are.
You want the rules, buddy.
But Nick Rekieta told me it was all right, bitch. I'm not gonna hurt you.
You know, we've always talked about doing paywall content, Gio. This might just be the episode that does it.
I might have to paywall this episode, yeah. But Nick Rekieta told me that it was all right, bitch. Anyways, let's move on finally to something of substance.
What do you mean? This show has been jam-packed full of substance. This might be one of my favorite episodes we've ever done.
Lord Baldo as legal defense.
For people who don't know what this is, like it's gonna sound like gobbledygook, but I know exactly all this and I'm loving it.
Yeah. Did you see that video where Ethan was threatening pants? Never mind.
It is always funny because sometimes like we are friends with such outsiders to like all this, like, because one of my favorite essays that's been written in the last year and a half is like when Morgoth got his Twitter given back from all the reinstatements, and he's just like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna like really stay on here because every time I listen to people like me talk, or you and I, Gio, it's just like I feel like I'm listening to Chinese, and I'm like, yeah, that's totally fair. I would totally understand if you want to clock out for a little bit and stay.
I'm only here because I'm so used to listening to Chinese already.
Oh!
Although I do sympathize with you guys because like I went to the Dallas Aquarium, which is actually more of a glorified zoo than it is an aquarium, over Memorial Day weekend here, and I was the language I did not hear the most was not English, not Spanish, but whatever, you know, H1B families speak in, so I guess Hindi. And I was like, wow, I felt Canadian for 5 minutes, and it was awful.
Did the smell hit you?
Oh, well, I mean, I was in a zoo, so I mean, the smell kind of all evened out.
Mm-hmm. It would hit you still. Like that's the thing about them. It
okay. Let's keep the racism to a minimum.
We're just talking smells, Gio. You can't talk smells. It's a free country.
I know, but like it's just. Let's move on.
Man, I am a tourist of the Jeremy fragrance variety, and this fragrance does not please me.
Notice how Jeremy fragrance is never mind.
I'm guessing the never mind counter for this. By the way,
he's never. I was gonna make a joke that Jeremy fragrance never smelled
because it's like never. It's like never mind. Moving on, and you know, anyways.
Let's move on to the Walt Bismarck.
Hey, there's another one.
I'm Lou guarding right now. No.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, the Walt. Speaking of
which
stinky.
I told you to be nice. Oh my god.
I'm just being a meaner.
You're lucky the Oilers are winning tonight, or else I'd be totally pissed. But you know, so anyways, let's get to the Walt Bismarck article. So what particular one it's called? What's the title, Prude? He writes a lot. So
Dimes, which one did you cover?
It's castrating the left with your teeth.
Was that what it was? Because the one I had.
Say what I was first thing that came to my mind.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yes, that is the title of the essay, which I did read.
Well, you guys are.
There's the one that I covered.
You guys are.
Judas, what did you think of the article? I never get to hear from you very often. I always listen to you in the regular shows that you and Dimes do. I don't get to talk to you live. So
it just says how to castrate the left.
Yeah.
With your teeth.
What did I say?
With your teeth. This is
Let me just say, the one I reviewed on my show, it was a response he was doing to someone
Dave.
named John Arcto, who some people might know. It was called "Am I Too Soft on Gays?" And so it was like a back and forth between the two.
Too soft on gays. I'm always soft around gays.
Well, I don't know if he chose that title with that bit in mind, but like it's right there.
Yeah.
so.
Walt's a bit of a low-hanging fruit, isn't he?
He is a low-hanging fruit.
Guys, okay, stop. Oh my god, he's gonna listen to this. You guys are mean.
You have to leave this up, Gio. Leave it up. Make sure the people
No,
can see this.
if I wanted to be put in an awkward position on stream, I would go and like beg Lev for a job again. No, I'm kidding. I'll never do that. So anyways,
hey, there's another one.
Oh my god, I don't even know what I'm saying half the time. So
I don't know what I'm saying half the time on this show either. This is like there's like 30 hours it said on the Digital Archipelago where I'm like, ooh, I probably shouldn't have said that.
So what was the latest beef that sparked this article with Distributist? I'm reading through it. Yeah.
In the same way, Dave's also been beefing with Richard Hanania, which, honest to God, I think is a better use of Dave's time than him arguing with any bread tuber. I would rather Dave's full intellectual capacity as a guy who has a PhD. Also, if you want to piss Dave off, you call him Dr. Green, but don't do that. But him arguing with like the Hanania and Bismarck and these sort of like edgy liberal types, I think is a better use of his time than
I think the new centrism would be a better term.
Yeah.
Well, he calls
they're all kind of
LinkedIn
connected.
Right. That's why he calls them the LinkedIn right, which I think is a great phrase.
Yeah.
Well, they're like I know Robert Stark.
Okay,
go ahead, Dimes.
I was going to say, like, to me, they're all connected in a way. And we covered a couple of these individuals on our paywalled show, Real Secret Coffee Hours. So there's Richard Spencer is actually one of the first guys. These people who left the alt-right or leaving the right. Richard Hanania famously wrote for the Daily Stormer. That got outed. So there's Anatoly Karlin would be another. Walt Bismarck would be another. There's a few in there who are saying, there are these guys who say, like, I was wrong about everything I believed up until 5 minutes ago. And here's why you should listen to me now, which doesn't strike them as like a he-turn preposterous thing. But like a lot of them are trying to make an appeal to go into what they believe are more serious circles by denouncing their past or saying a couple of things they're going to keep. But they all this is like one big movement, I think. Sorry, I cut you off, Gio.
No, I don't think it's that much of a big movement. I think that they do share some commonalities because I think, okay, when it comes to Hanania and Karlin and other people that are adjacent to like the Silicon Valley rationalists, for instance, they obviously are in a network or they know each other or they come from those like old Less Wrong blogs or whatever. But I think with Walt Bismarck, I would say that there is a new centrism or what Robert Stark calls radical centrism. I think like Robert Stark is clearly one of them. Walt Bismarck, Rachel Haywire, that other guy he was talking about.
Just to quickly confirm, by Robert Stark we mean like Vaporfornia Robert Stark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, Journey to Vapor Island, Robert Stark. So because I think like Robert Stark's idea of ethical enclavism is starkly similar to a lot of the ideas that are espoused by certain people. But I think that when it comes to Anatoly Karlin and Hanania and Big Spence, I think like they come from a different angle, but there is a growing coalition of people that are sort of, what would you call them? Like the purest form of NRX, post NRX technocrat minded, where they don't particularly care about social issues. They don't particularly care. There's like sort of an undercurrent of racist liberalism, for lack of a better term. And I think they're all on Substack. And I think that there's obviously, I mean, when I interviewed Walt with Kathrine, I think, he has a lot of good ideas. I doubt if some of them might work in practice, but I think that the whole thing about trying to like recapture what the alt-right was going to be rather than the buffoonish clownery of a lot of elements, especially post Seville. So I don't know. I think like, but this article particularly, he's responding to Dave because they got into another Twitter beef, and he calls it intersectional identitarianism, which, if I recall, is his plan to coax various groups into buying into right-wing or reactionary or anti-immigration, whatever talking points. And I think that he has a strategic plan for it. But
right, and every single one of the strategies that he's lines out is a left-wing strategy. It's like, let's be positive towards, let's make divorce easier so we can get the women's vote. Let's let in as many immigrants as we can to get the immigrant vote. Like, this isn't right wing. And it's funny because he has to say it right at the beginning. Guys, believe me, no, seriously, I'm still very right wing. I believe in all the same right wing principles as you, and then lays out like a 15 paragraph screed on how to cope and be a left winger. Like, it's wild.
Let's do the neocon stuff again.
Well, what specific? So I'm going down to, and stands the Bismarck proposal: stop the bleeding with white women by offering them forward-thinking solutions to women's issues in the way the left can't do to pressure from the groups.
Women are revealed preference machines. You can't give them what they want. You give them what they need.
But that's what he's saying.
No.
Every problem we've had with women for 150 years has been because women asked for a thing and we gave it to them so that they would vote for us, and then we're here. So you can't give women things so they'll vote for you.
No, but I think his plan is to strategically.
Gio, here's how it starts. We are winning. They are coming over here. We don't need to meet these mothers where they stand.
But are we winning, Dimes? Are we winning?
Let's get. Yes, we are. There's more women. There's more normal people. More interested. The Great Replacement is mainstream discourse right now. Let's actually be more.
I told you guys.
I just sound angry because I'm a jerk, but I'm relaxed. Dimes is going to study.
No, but I'm saying, okay.
No, but really, it's again. You want to talk about snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. This is it.
Yeah.
We don't need a new schematic. We are pretty much every single talking point of the last 5 years has broken into the mainstream discourse. No thanks to him. He just showed up after doing a bunch of dog brain Disney remixes, doing Disney songs about like interracial couples.
It was a different time.
Needs that. Yeah, but
you know what? Was it a different time though? Because how did we get here? If it was a different time then at some point somebody was pushing all of what's been mainstream today. Somebody was pushing hard on that over the past 5 years, and it wasn't.
No, but that was one of his points though, is that a lot of people had to like charge the machine gun nest before a lot of these talking points could become mainstream. But then I sort of like, not to like do a Reddit thing, but like I don't know, like. I think there's a difference between mainstreaming opinion. There's a difference between mainstreaming opinion and actual policy proposals that could have a lasting, meaningful effect. I mean, who knows what's going to happen?
So the policy is,
for example,
be gayer and be more feminist.
I don't think he's saying that in particularly. Okay, so
here's
hold on real quick.
You need to support abortion. You need to aggressively sideline pro-life maximalists.
I'm reading it right here.
Yeah. You need to make a new law that if men have a woman with something like forced consent outside of his home, that counts as like, we need more laws. And like, this is the exact sort of shit.
I don't say let's say RP. It's for the sake.
I think we've kind of blown over any sort of chance of this getting where it is, but I get you.
Okay. Let's just say, Joe, what policy of his do you like?
Yeah, let's start there.
I'm reading it right now. Let's see here. No, but Karen's a conservative woman. Well, he is kind of right about Karen. Like, it is like an anti-white thing to call people Karen.
Well,
yeah,
of course. But
I think with the pro-life thing, I think he's basically taking the lead from people like this is what Scott Greer said. You know what I mean? Like, this is that. Donald Trump gave pro-lifers the biggest victory, but then
the problem with pro-lifers is that like outside of being quote unquote anti-abortion, like they are libtards on everything else.
Right.
Unironically, what makes it really upsetting is that it was basically what happens when the dog catches the parked car. Well, they got the car, and now what? And that's sort of the problem with the pro-lifers is that, okay, well, anything that you could do to be ostensibly pro-life or pro-natalist or even just pro-child rearing, like the pro-life movement should be actually advocating towards more of, how do we decrease, people relying on daycare? Because, I mean, all the daycare really is something that women pay for as an excuse to get into the workforce so they can work, so they can pay for daycare, so they don't have to take care of their kids and be moms.
Exactly.
Like, that's something that I think the pro-life movement could talk about.
I can
Or they
give
could
you a
talk
list
about
of
the fact
100
that
things from the standpoint of a father, things that would benefit my wife and my family, that would wouldn't make my wife more conservative. They would allow my wife the option to express conservative behavior and habits. Things like you said, daycare, or getting women out of the workforce in some way, letting women have a family again, like this. But he doesn't talk about that at all. What he's doing is he's trying to hand stuff to women that women have asked for in order to get their vote in an election, which again has gone wrong every single time it's been tried.
And my question with that always is, when it comes to like Gibbs in elections, is that okay? We already have this.
Drew, do you not deny that Gibbs wins elections?
Gibbs wins elections, sure. But at what cost? Because all that we've done with women has been the paradox of female happiness. And all that we have done has basically set the United States and a lot of other Anglosphere countries on the same path as South Korea, where basically the Republican Party has turned into the men's party and the Democrats is the women's party. This is why the fight over white women in the United States is one of the most important political issues of our time. And this is why Trump lost a lot of them in 2020, because a lot of that fear-mongering, a lot of that abortion and everything else. Like, I get it. But also, the Roe victory happened. Yeah. Pro-lifers are now sitting there with their thumbs up their ass, not knowing what to do, because they've always framed it as so many other conservative Inc. causes in America do. They frame it with a liberal framing. In the same way that, like, Democrats are the real racists, or like Democrats are the real sexists when it comes to abortion.
This is the one thing I actually like, and I know you might have some feelings on this, but the Collinses, which is that they are taking a new type of pro-natalist stance. And the idea that we need to give up, I'm not even trying to take a position on this, but the idea of giving up the pro-life momentum is so insane that I assume he's a bad actor for making it. Because if you had told me 5 years ago that Roe v. Wade would be overturned, everyone would have called you insane. Then it was. The pro-life movement has the winds at their backs more than any time before in the past few decades. And all I hear from these is, okay, like, we really need to stop talking about right now. No, now is the time more than ever before to push it in a new accelerated direction. But why are people telling you to give up these issues as we have a victorious momentum behind them? Is that not suspicious? Why the f is he saying that? Because right now, what happened after Roe v. Wade was overturned? A few women raised a stink. Nothing actually happened. It turned out the women didn't rise up because it doesn't really what they want, does it? They don't do anything. So that's the lesson you take from that, oh, we can actually just do what we want and women won't really, go on a strike? They can't stop having right now. They don't know how.
No, but they can certainly politically organize and do another, like, they did do that. I mean, remember after Roe v. Wade, there was supposed to be like a red wave, and that never materialized. I mean, partially because of the Republican Party, but
I mean, the Republican Party dropped the ball on all that, and also you're pushing constitutional, like. I, as someone who is pro-life by nature of his religion, but also just his gut instincts and feelings, like, I am also fundamentally aware of a political reality on the ground. Like, this is the first direction that has ever moved the culture, or the law, I should say, more than the culture, in a rightward direction in my lifetime. I mean, this is the first time that I've ever seen the Supreme Court move rightward in a way that substantially changes the battlefield of the culture war. And culture war is an extension of any sort of civilizational conflict. And so with that, I mean, of course, people are going to be like really upset, because the default position has been for 50 years that, okay, like, abortion is just something that you do in private. And the popular culture is memed into that it's safe, legal, and rare, and the And we have to come up with all these like insane, like, what if MTV-esque scenarios about safe for someone to get pregnant. And whereas the fact that abortion most of the time is like upwards to 90+% elective, they make the choice to get it. Whereas when it comes to, like, say, the Collinses, or like the natalist conference stuff, is, I think, way more interesting, because I think the fundamental reality is even like progressives see the issue, where there is going to be a huge decrease in demographics, where people like Peter Zeihan, who I find interesting even if I disagree with him, says the answer to this demographic problem is just going to be a cajillion more immigrants. Whereas when we're trying to do electoral politics, the problem that the right has, especially with Republicans, is they don't know how to talk to women, period. They don't.
No, but that's Walt's point, is that how can you actually get young women to vote for right-wing causes? It's almost impossible. the way that like there's so much civilizational forces against
the,
it.
the reason
If
why
you're looking at it
it's
from a
the same-
pure Spenglerian perspective, it's almost
the
impossible.
reason why, Gio, is the same reason why like the Republicans will never win the black vote. You are asking them
Cool.
to give up the teat.
Right. So let's like if it's impossible to win a conservative platform by getting black votes and the women's vote, maybe the problem is we're trying to tune this to win an election instead of tuning it to fix our civilization. Like we keep coping and giving things to them that they want, knowing full well that it's going to rot everything and make it worse just so that we can win an election.
Yeah.
I can't not see that that's exactly what's been going on for 100 years. Like and also, is it not? Tell me it's not.
In this stream, we've come up with a couple good policies that would help this. You know, one I always talk about before, and I did not come up with this idea, but it's called the 45K plan, which is that in America, if it costs around $15,000 a year for a kid to be schooled in the education system. So you would offer a stipend, or you'd offer money from the government basically for every mother who would homeschool their kids, $15K per kid to a max of $45K per year to homeschool their kids. So that would encourage childbirth, because essentially you're offering mothers an income to homeschool their kids, which is kind of what they want, but also it gets kids out of the public school system, and it is capped. But like there's something in there that's a policy you can propose, and there's not a lot of women proposing that, so we don't even
the other issue is going to be that in America, and this is I hate to bring up like old MRA talking points, but like women are most of the college graduates, and in parts in almost every major city outside of I think like
Walt brings that up.
They make more money than men do. And so, of course, this is the big crisis when it comes to men and dating and marriage in America, is that men can no longer compete with the government, and men can no longer compete against an economy that is basically encouraging women to be where they're at. That would require, again, I think this is where you would need to be a more authoritarian in this instance, is just that you have to make it more difficult for them to be in there. Because the unfortunate, dirty hate fact, little secret that seems to be the fact here is that until you get to like PhD levels, the more education a woman has, the less likely they are to have children.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a very inverse correlation between fertility and, education. At least with women.
No, but that's what I mean.
The reason
how would you cap that Pandora's box, though?
You can't do it with an election.
Well, of course,
but I mean, if you wanted to do it with an election, you wouldn't be framing it as a. You would just start seriously defunding a lot of liberal arts stuff.
Yeah, but also I just want to reestablish that there are more
but
women
that's like
to this side than ever before.
I don't know.
Okay. So let's go back to 1974, 73. Right before the 76 election. Let's talk about Ronald Reagan for 2 seconds. What is Ronald Reagan talking about in the 1970s on the Johnny Carson show? The Tonight Show, one of the biggest platforms in America for politicians to be interviewed back in the 1970s. He's talking about education, the size of government, and the size of bureaucracy, because the bureaucracy is a huge voting block and also determines a lot of policy in America that Congress and the presidency doesn't. So, I mean, 50 years ago, we're more or less talking about the same problems. Things have not improved for the right in 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Things have gotten worse.
Yep.
Not saying that Ronnie Reagan is the end-all, be-all for solutions, but like...
No, but I'm saying like it's a Republican... It's like even conservatives here in Canada do that. Like with universities of CBC, like, oh, we're going to like really destroy the humanities and liberal arts, and that's going to like,
they never do, because they never wield power.
No, but
like the mainstream right in America, and also to a large extent, we don't have a proper conceptualization of power because none of us wield it.
Yeah.
No, but that's the point I'm getting to, though.
Okay.
Let's put on our Moldbug cap for a minute, even though I don't particularly like Moldbug. But he is correct about that. Like why would you want to destroy something that wields power when you could, make it in your own image? I think like if you made universities in your own image, that would be.
But then when that happens, like i.e. Rufo and his small Florida college,
why would you want to have a bunch of degree mills that have social studies programs? I don't understand.
Because I was a product of one of those degree mills. Anyways,
well, I mean, so I went to OCA. I was the same, but also like it was also 95% women and 50% immigrants.
I think that the university system has to be radically overhauled. I just don't think that. I think a lot of people probably don't belong there that go. But I'm saying that I think that to just like do something like we're going to get rid of the humanities and university is going to become like a trade school thing. That's like Scott Greer is correct about that.
I agree with Gio.
No,
here,
I agree.
That's like
I agree with Greer.
Republican.
I do agree
like
with that.
conservatard talking point. That's just like, oh, we're gonna make it all under a trade school, and it's like,
well,
no,
I'm not even advocating for
if
that.
You want elite people? Like, look at Trump. There was literally nobody that had the acumen to actually staff a lot of these positions that were on the political right. If you had either parallel systems or infiltrated certain university systems that could sway them to your favor, or certain law schools, especially run by people like Stephen Miller or whoever.
Gio, the thing about that too, and this is the thing that I think also has a lot of people upset, is that the people who do know how to do this they're not 100% on the same page we are. And again,
of course not. Yeah,
of course not. I think this is where people get upset, and this is where you can see some of Dimes'
But we can
frustration.
dream for a world when they are 100%.
But we can work towards that world where we are. The question will be whether or not that's too late. The question I think that's important to consider is that, like, yeah, people like Nate Fisher or some of these guys that are putting their resumes in for Project 2025, they're probably not, us. They've not been listening to that we've been listening to or reading for the last 10 years or so. No, because they've been professionals. But also, things have gotten a lot worse. I mean, Dimes and I talked about this on the consultancy crisis thing. Like, I went to college in the midst of the Dear Colleague letter and fraternities and other male spaces being basically closed out. Because when people say, like, oh, like, white people don't act like other ethnic, like, enclaves, well, they used to. They were called fraternities. And to a large extent, they still exist if you go to more elite institutions. And I don't think that we should be telling everyone to get a trade or vocational degree. I don't think that that's the solution either. That's retarded.
Right.
Because you do need people like that. And that's a huge thing about this whole class issue, too, is that there is class in America. And it's important to consider that because there are a lot of disaffected people who made really decisions in university and college who are unhappy where the status quo is. And so you have, like, basically proto-angry commies that are right-wing or call themselves right-wing because they hate liberals more than their own bad decisions.
Zorgs?
Well, no, because he's just he's not white, and that's an important thing to consider. But the point I'm trying to get at, though, is that we've been talking about a lot of
the Compact Magazine site. You mean you're talking about those people?
No, I'm talking about, like, angry reply guys to Scott Greer.
If there's a Night Owls, I'm gonna. Never mind.
This would be like the third show that we've had where Night Owls is running, which is really frustrating. But I mean, this is also a point that Nightmare Vision was talking about a while back. Like, if you're an old head and you were, like, spearheading things, there's not a lot of there's no glory for you, right? Because you're not making money because these ideas are popular 10 years later. I mean, the only two people I know kind of successfully who have managed to get attacked by the system and still do fine for themselves is, like, Pat Casey and Christopher Sandbach, because they've both been doxxed and had hit pieces written about them. And if you look up their actual names, they're going to get some really nasty, you look them up. And so, but I mean, they're still around writing and doing other jobs and things like that. But I mean, I can understand why you would want to disavow your old self because A, it's not like it got you anywhere. And two, now that the moment is different, maybe you can shake off what you consider the crazies. Because I mean, I think that an important thing to consider with looking back at the alt-right is going to be the big proponent of new atheism. Like the whole George W. Bush, my heckin' wholesome, compassionate evangelical conservatism did not do anything good for whites in America. And I think that's very obvious.
Yeah.
And also you look at Jeb Bush, who's trying to do a medieval marriage type deal. Like, I will form an alliance with Mexico by marrying La Goblina. And all of a sudden, like, the new America will be, like, brown. And it's like, well, yeah, obviously George Bush and his family is, like, an enemy to America too. But, like, hey, I can understand the desire to wanting to disassociate from these things. But I think the problem with trying to religion is that eventually you're going to invent a new one. And sometimes those new religions turn out to be blacker, gayer, and worse than what came before, as we can so clearly see.
Yeah, or they're weird religions. Like, if you understand what the Collinses are proposing, the sort of transhumanist religion, their religion, and I'm not trying to
Simone and Mike, what's his name?
Yeah.
Simone and Michael.
Yeah, they're both
Michael?
They're both essentially the same person. But like their religion is the plot
Can you
of
imagine
Interstellar.
them? Never mind. I'm not going to say anything.
Imagine them as what?
Another classic. Nevermind.
No, I was going to say like they.
Because I find them insanely interesting.
No, but like, can you imagine? No, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to make a. Imagine them in the bedroom. I'm not going to say that.
Well, you just said it. First of all, I've been steamrolled 4 times.
They seem like nice people. They got some kind of weird ideas.
They seem incredibly interesting.
Like nice
I would love to talk to them.
Yeah.
But
They
by
look
saying
kind of
their
the
religion,
same.
they
They do look
proposed
kinda...
in one of their articles. Their religion is essentially that we're raising our children to believe that their God is themselves in the future, communicating to them from the past to guide them to their, perfected hyper real self, which is the plot of Interstellar, which is like retarded.
No, but isn't that like
that's their
It's
religion.
Interstellar,
Isn't
but
that, like,
blood and
reverse
soil.
engineer ancestor worship though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep the best parts of the Abrahamic faiths, but also ancestor worship.
That's kind of really
But
not
future
gonna work.
ancestor worship.
Your
They look
future
like nice people.
bloodline
They
is
look like they're
communicating through you
matched.
but it's also
you know?
super honest to God though. It's very Burkean, where it's just like, listen, you can't change the rights of the past, of the present, or those yet to be born. Like, it's very inherited rights, and I'm on board with that. But I mean, also, I'm not gonna. I think you can instill an ancestor veneration type deal.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
100
of course.
100
Well, no,
years
except
ago,
it- look,
100 years ago, like every
No, but,
church
like,
in the United
ancestor
States would
worship-
have been like, revere what your ancestors had done for you, and also let's not let any more of those weird refuse people from Eastern Europe come here. Let's go vote
But
for the Reed
just to be
Johnson
clear,
Act.
their religion is in the future we are gods and we worship ourselves. That's what they're saying.
Oh well, that is a stark
Little out
contrast
there.
to the actual
Little out there, but
No, but it is that's what separates it from actual ancestor worship. I mean, ancestor worship is the default position of most of human history.
Well, if you're already wealthy and you think you're hot,
you
you might as well engage in some pseudo apotheosis.
some kind of
Have fun
like
with
under
it.
the Silver Lake type of you're entombing yourself forever. Yeah.
I remember. That's a good
So
movie.
back to Walt Bismarck.
Second proposal.
I want to be nicer.
Oh, you're not. You totally blew it, and I'm gonna get flack for it.
Why do you
You
want
know
to
what?
guarantee you.
Maybe I've been a bit too hard on Walt Bismarck. Let's clear the air.
Do
There's
an
no
upward
need
inflection
to
at the end
get.
of each sentence so that Walt Bismarck, I totally disagree with everything that he's saying. Like, kind of like you like that.
Yeah, like Richard.
You guys are too much.
Look, I'm taking the idea
I
seriously
thought he was.
because it would be
He's a
easy
nice
to
guy.
dismiss
He was a
him.
nice guy. No, but okay.
Well,
So
you know what?
I disagree with a
road to
lot of
hell
things
is
he says. I'm
paved
just
with
trying to give
nice
him
guys.
a fair.
Well, because when it comes to Walt Bismarck, if I find someone and I disagree with 60% of what they say, I'm going to assume the other 40% I like is stolen.
Oh my god. Walt Bismarck is 4 things. That's too much. That's too much. That's a deep cut right there. That's a deep cut. Do you know the 4 things thing? Andy Worski is 4 things. You remember that?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind. It's a deep Kino cut. That there's a video that Gonzalo Lira, God rest his soul, Coach Kino, he did where he's like, Andy Worski is 4 things. Yeah, that was funny. No, okay, so the other ones, where are we going with this? Okay, the one let's skip the one about Israel and Palestine because honestly, like, let's not risk talking about that. That conundrum. But get our arms around the Brahmin question. I don't agree with this take. I think that. I mean, okay, he is right in one sense. He is right in the sense that a lot of these populations view them as basically white people anyways, but I don't know if courting. Never mind. Let's not talk about it.
No.
Whoa,
All I want to say is
I am not going to say. He might have a good
Yeah.
point. I don't know.
Okay, so all I want to say, because there's a thread, and it's not him. It's him and Hanena and all these guys. The observation, 100% accurate, very well put. The conclusion
solution
and the prescription, totally out of whack. And that is, step 3 that he's talking about there. That's what that is to me. It's like you absolutely nailed the observation, but the solution is pretty much 180 degrees from what we should actually do.
Also, the next thing, which is like, we need to get our arms around the Brahmin problem. Okay.
What is it?
Yeah, we should. We do need to do that. Yeah.
We are getting smoked by Brahmin Indians.
Yes.
We have recently established themselves as America's wealthiest, most educated ethnic group. If you work in tech or adjacent fields or the closest to anyone who does, you understand the scale of this development. So let's skip to it's going to get really ugly if we don't do anything. The Brahmin question has the potential to make the other question look like small potatoes. The first step is simply opening a dialogue between the nationalist right and Indians so you can better understand each other's perspective and discuss.
I just want to quote his
Gene,
conclusion at the
Emmett
end.
Yeah.
We need to integrate Brahmins in the same way we did. Quote. That's a quote.
And all right,
Are
this is where I get my gripe.
Brahmins are incredibly civic-minded and have very genuine desire to help save America.
They like civics. They like civics.
Oh,
They like
you guys
civics a lot.
This is why I didn't want to cover this. This is
But
incredibly hard.
no, hold on, because I
Do they like
will try and
government?
take this as
It's
straightforward.
incredibly hard to be devil's advocate here.
No, Gio, I get the frustration. I get it because also you have to work
I don't
with
want
the
to insult
reality
the
that
guy I
you're
did
in.
3 hours with him.
No,
You know,
and
it's
I'm
different when
not-
you
and
talk to
listen,
a guy in
I'm-
real
I'm-
life, and then you
Gio, I get it.
I'm letting you be the good
understand.
guy. I'm the bad guy. I'm the psycho. here,
Dimes
okay?
is the
You're-
bad
you're
guy
safe.
for this sake. You're safe. In the same way that I actually do want to engage with this because on one hand, as someone who's done a lot of political campaigns in blue
I respectfully
areas,
disagree with Walt on this one.
I respectfully disagree, but I understand
Doesn't
wanting
it
to
feel
approach
good?
things with the
It
ground.
feels good to say that.
All right, I'm gonna try and actually address some of these points before I
Okay,
get
go ahead,
talked
Drew.
over.
Go ahead. Then I'll
Thank you.
yeah, go ahead.
Thanks.
Then we'll
Okay,
get
so-
Dimes and
and then we'll let
Dimes and
our other,
Judas.
we'll let the other Canadians be the devils this time. So my issue when it comes to say
Vance
like the
Black Hole.
the embracing the Brahmin question or trying to get over to the right is that when this happened in the 60s
In
when
the
like Norman
70s. Yeah.
in the 70s especially when it really started in full swing with neoconservatism when we saw the dissatisfied ethnic Jews who were doing like Norman Potteret's My Problem in Ours in the 60s and the growth and expansion of this sort of Catholic and Jewish groups for neoconservatism because there were a lot of Catholics who were at least Irish Catholics who were part of early neocons. It's important.
There were Irish Catholics who were also paleocons, which is
yeah, but also just
there were neocon Catholics, yeah.
Yeah, there were, and there were some neocon wasps. They were on board, but my point is that the last time we brought in a different group into a coalition on the right, the majority always has. We've seen this in the past. We see this with Democrats too. They always have to stop looking at the majority. And they have to cater to the minority interest to keep the coalition intact.
Yes.
So when it comes to these issues,
because the majority is already gotten already,
because they don't care about the majority because they think they already take it for granted, and then of course they lose parts of that majority or they get dissatisfied and they go somewhere else. Like
the 5% with Trump. Remember the 5%?
Sure, yeah. And I'm sure they'll come around again for the 2024 election because vote for Trump. How coordinated and convenient, but that's a whole other discussion. The point that I'm trying to get at is that okay, that's going to happen. That means people like me or anyone else who's doing well in America, we're just going to be restructuring the system so there's more carved outs for these ethnic patronage enclaves that we want to have as a client class that isn't going to help us. I mean, this is the same thing where even Tucker Carlson's well, where were you guys about all this quote unquote white gender education in colleges for the last 50 years? It's a valid question to ask. And the same way that when you're having people from a society whose civilization is incommunicable with what traditional American, Western, Anglosphere kind of countries are from, you raise an important question about we're fundamentally changing what the country is. I don't think it's going to be for the better. Because, as we noticed with the Republican Party, and I mentioned this earlier, I obviously see that unless we're going to get mass deportations, which I sincerely doubt, as much as I want them to be true, I don't trust Trump or anyone over there to do it or to pull it off without a lot of people that could seriously wreck the country. But okay, we're gonna try and embrace a new ethnic coalition. Obviously, it will have to be civically minded, like what Walt is suggesting. But can you get it to be reasonably pro-white? Scott Greer says yes, and he's written an article about this already, which I'm inclined to believe because you can look at the Rio Grande Valley in 2020 and see that they swung for Trump in ways that had never been seen before in a primarily blue area and a majority Hispanic area. Am I happy with that? Absolutely not. These people shouldn't be here to begin with. But if I'm looking on the ground in the reality, I see where Walt's coming from. However, I also know that every time that this happens, it's to
buy time.
But it's to buy time. But B, it's exactly what Judas was saying earlier. Is that it never works because every time you make concessions and conceits, the majority or the people who used to be the majority get screwed over every time. And it's right now, and like the thing that that kind of won me on Trump about maybe he understood the whole friend enemy thing, or at least patronage, was when he really tried his best to hammer home on the opioid crisis.
Yes.
Because it's the white people that get over by that. And I wish he went a little harder on Purdue and Sackler and all of them. But hey, that sort of stuff is important to me. Because again, as someone who deals in flyover country and sees people like that get over every day, and that places I see all the time, I see billboards for Narcan. Yeah, I get a little concerned, and so that's a good thing. But I mean, with respects to this article, yeah, using Gaza to win over sympathetic, disaffected tree, he is right, because
but that's not going to last.
Well, I do agree with that, because, and I feel like I called it on Orange Show at the start of all this with the Claudine Gay business, is that you have a lot of wealthy, disaffected who are now realizing that, oh, this behemoth of progressivism that we've always tangentially supported views us as white, i.e., settler, colonial, imperialist, da 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 da. Well, that's not good. And so, yeah, there's going to be some money where people like Bill Ackman are going to vote for Trump, but also they're not really right wing in any sense, socially or politically or anything. They're looking out for their own ethnic interest. So
Right.
Sure, you're absolutely right. You can probably win them over for an election. That's absolutely true. Are we in a position where they can negotiate with us? Yeah, probably. But also, it's hard for me to say that we're in a position to negotiate with them. Why? Because they're the ones with the money and power. Like, they have more influence, they have more sway, as we obviously saw with Harvard and other places, than they do with us. Like, if Bill Ackman starts talking about how we need to, seriously examine our relationship to China and Mexico because a lot of that drugs come in through the border, then then we can have a conversation. I'd be really interested to hear what Bill Ackman has to say, using his business acumen and venture capital, to talk about how we can actually do something against hundreds of thousands of people dying from drug overdoses every year. I'd be really inclined to hear that, but we're not having that conversation. We're simply not.
Right.
In the same way that we have a huge issue when it comes to the simple divide of us versus them, right? I think that that's going to be something to consider. Can we get them on board? Maybe, but I just don't see it, because I look towards the past and I'm wanting to look for proof of life of these concepts. And I'm a little bit,
jaded.
I'm jaded, sure, but I'm also skeptical, because it's I feel like we've tried doing some of these things before, and the more that we do this, we just continue to fracture whatever is left of the country. And as the guest post on the American Sun wrote the other day, we don't even have an electorate like 2012. Half the country fundamentally rejects the existence of the other half of the country.
Yes.
And one side of the country is openly welcoming in and settling in place, basically quasi-amnesty, as Biden announced today, to accelerate the cultural, political, ethnic erasure and elimination of political voices of the traditional white European America. I don't, if I'm wanting to side, and if I'm an outsider looking in, typically the outsider looking in votes for the side that's already winning. And so the question's going to be, yeah, a lot of people are voting for Trump, or a lot of people are excited for Donald Trump, and I hope that he wins the election, and I hope that he gets to be dictator for a day and talks about deporting 20 million people. But I also have been hurt before.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit skeptical. And I wish, and I
and who knows if they'll let him win either,
Yeah, that's true. There's still several months until the election. I don't know what's going to happen. I also am, the thing about the whole Castizo futurism thing. Okay, prior to what you could call the Great Awakening, there was an article from 2014, that was talking about how a large majority of Hispanics were identifying as white rather than Hispanic or Central or Southern American. That has obviously changed, because what has happened in the last 10 years? The anti-white pressure on the culture, on the law, on hiring practices, on all forms of the system have said, if you identify as white, we're not really going to prefer you. So of course they identify as other things. Even not Tariq Nasheed, Ibrahim X. Kendi will tell you that in 2/3 of white college applicants identified with a different race than their own. Until that system can be eliminated or restructured in a way that is pro-white, they're not going to identify that way. And they know they don't have to identify that way, because the Democrats are catering to them in ways that are better than what the right currently has to offer. And so there's not a lot of leverage that we bring to the bargaining table other than saying, please.
But Walt's argument is that perhaps with Brahmins, there could be some leverage.
There could be some leverage in the tech sector, but they already donate. It's the same thing with trying to court. Like we saw this already. They vote like 70.
The tech sector is where we tried this already. We thought, oh, we found some good ones that they can work with us, and they looked away and looked back, and it's all Indian. So if you work with them in this capacity, remember, what do people not like about this? They don't want to wake up one morning and they're surrounded by Indians, and that has literally happened before in the private sector. So any deal you make with them will result in 5x more Indians. And if people can just be honest that that's what they don't want, then you realize this is a doomed strategy. And this seems obvious.
Right.
Like I don't accept that we've lost so much that we need to go to the table and say, you know what, the Brahmins, you guys have basically won, and we're trying to work with you now, because that's the power dynamic that he's talking about right now.
He's saying
defeat.
But implementing this vision requires an immediate pause to further Brahmin immigration. We need to assimilate the Brahmins in the same way we assimilated Italians, other Ellis Islanders. That means closing the doors for generations. Yeah, but I mean, they're not European, though. I think that's the key difference. I mean, not to say that
good point.
Some other ones weren't exactly
that's
European
a valid
as well.
Point. Because everyone wants to be the last guy who gets into the door.
No, but this is why, like, okay, it's not just because I'm Italian that I think the whole, like, you know, like certain segments of the E, right? They're like, oh, we shouldn't let you guys in, or the Irish or whatever. And maybe there's an argument for that. Who knows? But I mean, I
reject the strategy that you did this before, so you have
I'm
to
on
do
the
it now.
fence when it comes to
we're
that.
Stopping it now.
Yeah.
No, but do you agree that like maybe you shouldn't let me in?
No, that's the thing. I like that you're here. I don't want Indians. Just because we did it 50 years ago or whenever doesn't mean that
I won't be offended.
No, but people, I don't. No, that's
Prude doesn't like Italians.
No, I'm
when
saying
did I say that I wouldn't let you in?
No, but the Ellis Islander question.
Well, the Ellis Islander question fundamentally transformed America in the same way that we let in a whole. I mean, like, okay, here's a good example. Like, who wrote it? I think it's called The Unintended Transplant or something like that.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Something like that. I'm trying to remember, but it's a book by, I want to say, Garrett Jones, and Garrett Jones, and he wrote a book called The Culture Transplant: How Migrant Economies They Move to so it's called How Migrants Make the economies they move to look a lot like the ones they left, by Garrett Jones, Stanford University Press. This came out back in 2022. And so if you look at, for instance, when like Ellis Islanders came here, like their cultural impact also meant that like Italian food became one of the most popular staples in American culture for a century. And it's now been surpassed, and now it's Mexican food. And that's an impact that these cultures leave on the existing culture that they came to. Now, with that, I don't mind Italians. I don't mind Irish either. I'm generally okay.
You're half Irish.
Well, Scots Irish, so Ulster Scots, but that's a whole other story. If I need to post 23andMe, I guess I'll go find a company to do that too. But the point being that that culture is closer to waspish America than anything from Mexico, anything from Venezuela, anything from Guatemala, anything from Ethiopia, Haiti, Sudan, or India. And so the question is that how do you assimilate them into a society where their cultural backgrounds and backdrops are so foreign that eventually we're going to become more like them than they will like us?
Right.
And that
also,
that's a huge concern.
Well, Pac-Man respecter.
I just want to clarify what I said there. If I could just clarify what I said, what I meant was, like, we can quibble all day about which groups we allowed in. I just reject the framing entirely that because we did something 100 years ago that has any bearing on my geopolitical decisions now. So I don't care if we let Italians in 50, 75, 100 years ago. I'm just saying now I don't want anything Indians, and you're allowed to say that, and you don't need to get caught in a hypocrisy trap for thinking that way. That's all I want to communicate.
Well, no, true. And plus you could say that the Italian and the Anglo, or the Irish, well, especially the Irish and the Anglo, like, they share more of a fundamental kinship than the Brahmin and the Anglo. I don't know. I mean, there was the Raj.
No, man, it's very like the different. It really is two totally different groups. We're talking about Europeans and we're talking about non-Europeans. And then unless you're like Varg Vikernes that thinks that I'm a black man. The other end of it, aside from like culture, We're talking about, like, again, the economic background that these people are coming from.
Right.
Like, you talk about Italians coming into Ellis Island, like even talking about Ellis Island, they're essentially refugees. They're people with nowhere else to turn. Bring your poor and hungry, whatever, right? That's who we're bringing in. This is not the case with the Brahmins. That's why it's the saying with the Jews, it's such a close example. I know there's kind of a mythology that
they were poor. They came in poor one time.
I'm not saying at one time they were not, but I'm saying when you're talking about them as of today, the Brahmins today have the same role in our society that the today. So we can't talk about them as if, they can't. This is what I was saying like 30 minutes ago or an hour ago. Like, people have this tendency to talk about Indians like, we got to give them a help up. India is such a poor country and they just want jobs. No, they're creating jobs for their own people. They're coming over with hundreds of millions. They're taking over our political systems. They're taking over whole industries. I work in tech. I've seen it. I've seen whole businesses shut down because they couldn't get with the picture that the only way to hire is to hire Indian, because the hiring manager only speaks Hindi now. Like, this is. It's borderline invasion in terms of what they're doing to the culture, especially in Canada.
It is invasion, right? It is not borderline. It is invasion.
Well, this is what Blackman Respecter said. He said if Walt Bismarck is serious, then essentially you'd have like a form of like what Robert Stark calls ethical enclavism, strictly controlled 5 to 10%, no more than that. I mean, I guess that's what Walt is saying.
So that would be going back to like the 1920s with our immigration policy. We have ratios and caps, and specifically from only European countries, which we got rid of with Hart-Celler.
With enclave, are we talking about geographical? Because I'd be fine with putting a wall around the GTA and just saying you're not allowed to go north of the 49th parallel. Fine. But I mean, if we're still letting them go anywhere. Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't
What's that wall's work?
Wasn't that in a Tragically Hip song, something parallel, or Meridian?
The 100th Meridian. Gio, please. It's the 100th Meridian.
I know. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
I don't want Gio to leave this stream thinking that I'm aggressive against him. I don't want you to get upset.
No, I'm just saying I'm trying to give Walt a fair shake, because he was very kind to come on the computer room and he had some interesting ideas, but I think that a lot of these arguments are kind of flawed. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the next one. Embrace. This one is the most contentious one.
Say, I think I speak for Judas when we say we wish him well.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay, so Gio being deported from the live stream. It all returns back to Kowloon Walled City. Yes, of course. Step 5.
Kowloon Walled City.
Okay, end weight guilt to neutralize the weird American civic religion around Black people. I mean, we can agree with that one, but like,
yeah, but his answer. Have you read his other article, "The Pro-White Case for Reparations"?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that. We talked.
Yeah, and that's my issue.
Well, I think, but then his point is that if it's a visibility thing, because they already implicitly get forms of reparations elsewhere, but if you were to have like. His thing is like, if you have Black leaders that said, listen, we got to stop with like hating white people because they are giving us like legit reparations, then he's like,
has that ever worked? We'll just get called an Uncle Tom.
Peak. It's the apex of naivete to think that you can make a deal with Black leaders today and give them trillions of our dollars and not have the whole thing memory hold within 18 months.
Because true. I mean, Black Twitter ain't going to be talking about it.
Yeah, we've been doing this.
We've already been doing it. Like, what do you think welfare is? It's for them. What do you think affirmative action is? It's for all of this.
What was the platinum plan other than 500 billions of transferring to Blacks?
The unspoken part of all of these platforms at every point of every decade was at least now they'll shut up. And they've never shut up. Like, you don't think in the 1960s they were doing all like, God, if we just give this to them, at least they'll get off my case. Like,
that's what the projects were. The projects was to be here's brand new pristine buildings, and then they became graveyards. But
then if you consult like woke academics or like BreadTuber video essayists, they'd say that the projects was like a racist control.
Sure, that's why we spent so much of our own money and prime real estate on it. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, also like Robert, the same way they'll say redlining and and they'll say everything like redlining and block busting was racist. Actually, no, because it made it impossible
sundown towns.
No. But like redlining made it virtually impossible for anyone who was white to live in there to basically like try and get out. Like that's what it was.
Then they point to like how Robert Moses designed the highways to be racist, to not have buses. Remember? Like, that was...
I mean, even if that was true, and I'm probably sure there's a grain of truth. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah,
everyone knows. Even upper middle class Blacks know that you try and get the hell away.
And that's thing. if you've been paying attention, if you're a serious person and you have any interest in politics, you will know this. So if you are making these suggestions, it means to me you're not serious, or you're so contrarian and you're so trying to disassociate from your former self. You're exploring all kinds of sensationalist ideas just, to piss off the dissident right. Or it's that you just don't know what talking about, because anyone who's been in the space for a couple of years, like, you watch any podcast and they go over this, like, there's no geopolitical backing for anything he's saying. It sounds random and made up half the time.
Well, I like to think he's got a grand plan. But
I think he does. I think he's very straightforward with his
yeah,
plan. I saw that when he talked to Dave the Distributist. Like, he's got a plan and idea. I mean, I disagree with his idea of who has more honor, because I think that Dave is a far more honorable and respectable man than some kind of furry, but that's a whole other discussion for another time. I think
that he's like reverse engineering like the alt-right to seem like it's like multicultural woke centrism, but
isn't it every time that we try to make the right look like multicultural,
something else,
non-woke centrism, we just get on the battlefield every time?
I guess.
Like, okay, so like if we're trying to reinvent, like, maybe, I don't know, like an alt-right 1.0 IDW where we sound centrist and we need to, like, get these issues over with, I would love to see how we get some sort of declaration of absolution, because I don't know how you would get that outside of basically saying, let's get our anime frog posters all by buying up $5,000 to $10,000 houses in downtown Detroit. Yeah, I would love to see someone.
Yeah, some people were posting that. I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, he does it too in his post about castrating the left. I think that, yeah, there's some stuff in here, like, paying top shelf private intelligence firms to dox Antifa. Also, good luck with that, because you'll basically be doxing like the American security apparatus, and have fun dealing with that battle.
Yep.
But also, like, I know some people that have tried to do this, and they, they're small operations. I do agree with a lot of things that Walt says in here that are fundamentally around the fact that the online e-right side of things, while we may be correct on the issues, I think that there's also a huge disconnect between what we say and then actually doing the work to put in. Yeah. For instance, go to Enoch Powell on Twitter, or Mog the Urbanite is his @. He does those. He always asks random polls that people retweet and post out. And he was asking people about how much money do you put into your politics and local elections, and how many hours have you volunteered. And the numbers are so skewed to basically zero, and very small people reporting anything, that I think it does show that on this side of things, there's not a lot of engagement. And I think that only gives credibility, and I hate that I'm saying this. I hate it. I think it gives an ounce of credibility to what Richard Hanania says when he says the left cares more. And I only say that, I say that with the caveat that they are encouraged to care more because the left is in power, and it always facilitates a state of existential crises for you to be caring and to get involved. When it comes to the right, in a lot of ways, and this is a critique of myself, and along with other people, and some people that really hate me, even though they are fundamentally correct, that it's a lot easier to yell at the quote tweets and the headlines to get your clicks in the same way.
The Cole Report on patreon.com.
In the same way that our
every Saturday.
In the same way that our Gen X and boomer parents and grandparents would yell at the TV and the radio. There's an ounce of truth to that. However, I think that because of the medium that we exist in now digitally, yeah, people can listen to us. And it's funny to have people in certain conversations that they would kill if I ever said who it was, basically say, yeah, Murdoch was great when it was like coming out. Like, yeah, thanks for listening. But also at the same time, you have to deal with the simple fact that we don't. That's why, again, I'm with Scott Greer on the trades issues. Like, we actually do need lawyers. We actually do need professionals. I also know that the deck is heavily stacked against us, but like, if we don't have those guys at least putting the foothold in, it's going to be harder to build any kind of parallel institution. And for me,
I will say I agree with that.
And I think this is a point that Walt makes, and this is a point that others have made as well. I'm glad that Walt at least is on board with this. Is that there is a fundamental lack of infrastructure. I am a low-level government bureaucrat IRL. I deal with all sorts when it comes to econ development and programs that have been born out of the New Deal. I would love to go full Garrett Garrett and destroy the New Deal and destroy grave of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I also know that that's not going to happen in my lifetime. Wish it does, hope it does, but I know it probably won't. So I have to work with the reality that I'm in. Yeah, go ahead real quick.
I just want to say I agree with what he's saying really quick, but also everyone has said that, so I hesitate to grant that to them. There's 1.0 white nationalists who've been saying the same thing. Like, we got to get involved in politics. So they're just the latest guys who are saying that. So I deny, Anania, that check mark. Sorry, now you can continue.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, to each their own. But like, I think that it is important to consider that maybe our conceptualization of power, because we're so far removed from power, like, maybe we should consider that, like everyone talks about like localism. We can take over a small town. Okay, you need a city manager or a mayor. You need some good county commissioners. You need a really good district attorney. You need a county attorney. And you probably want to talk to your local council of government or your local development officer.
Slow down, I'm taking notes.
Sorry. It's all right, but I mean, like anyone who saw my OGC talk.
This is something that we talk about all the time.
Yeah, anyone who saw my like OGC conference talk will know that I'm kind of repeating pulled out of my ass for my speech, but like, because I never give a written talk. This is how I've pissed off the Sildings people 2 years in a row by not giving them a transcript of what I said. But it's important to consider that like we need to I don't know, because like on one hand, I totally agree with every online right talking point where it's like, yeah, these things are really stacked against us. But as someone who also lives in flyover country that works with people that desperately need the work that I do, because unfortunately the system is so rigged to have coercive federalism that they need the money and they need these programs from municipalities and towns to get their volunteer fire departments a new truck or a siren for a tornado. It's like, that's a place I can help rural whites. And I like what I do because I help those people. And so, like, if we can conceptualize power in that way, like, that's an important thing to consider. But also, I don't think you're ever going to get Kanye West or Lizzo or, I don't know, what's his name, any sort of
Jesse Jackson?
Jesse Jackson to sign a declaration of absolution saying, okay, Whitey, we're done. Like, unironically, that'll never happen. And so I don't think you can... Anti-whiteism is so baked into the progressive narrative. I don't know how you play it without just fundamentally...
disenfranchising the progressive sect,
disenfranchising every liberal position in America. I don't know how you do it. And also, I don't know how you can do it without seriously engaging in things that you can't talk about, because unfortunately, only one side of the political spectrum in America has carte blanche authority on violence, and it's not the right wing.
Right.
And that's the problem. That's the same thing about let's dox Antifa.
All right,
like that again. That's the American security apparatus.
I'm sure there's some low-level Antifa that don't want to be doxed.
Like, unless you're giving, because anyone could say that. Anyone could say, you know what we should do? We should call the CIA and get them to look into Antifa. You know what I mean? It's like, unless you're giving a couple of ideas, this is less than an opinion, just saying that. Like, why don't we beat them at their own game? That's kind of the summary of his entire position, which is that what if we were just super cunning and got everything we wanted without really defining what you want or what that cunning strategy actually is? And I just wanted to say to Prudentialist point, I'm going to try and keep this short. I mentioned this on the stream last night with Kingpilled and Meta Prime, but the audio was so garbled and through. But just the Prudentialist point about the people
realize
people on the right being sort of unengaged, and it was to explain that people are too black pilled and we need more white pills. And I had said, well, I think we actually need to get people to stop taking pills, period, because the people are generally pilled enough.
Isn't that what Mobley said, clear pill? Yeah.
I don't know. He said some stuff. But Meta Prime... What Meta Prime had said at one point.
You meant, Moldbug. I mean, his clear pill. I've never understood what the clear pill was. Maybe I'm just a brainlet for Moldbug, but what is the clear pill?
It must be a dark elf thing.
No, explain the clear.
You're reading the chat. I see it.
Well, sorry, it's been roboting on my end. What happened?
What's a clear pill?
It's basically Moldbug's idea of like just step above it.
Oh,
I mean, the clear pill essay was supposed to be like 5 parts, and he only wrote. So I mean, the whole concept's not really fleshed out.
Yeah. So but what I wanted to say,
he ain't never
was,
finishing that
and
series.
Metaprime had made a comment. He said, young people, they need leaders. So we need better leadership. And I had said, well, we actually have a problem on the right with leaders generally. They tend to make cults of personality, and they tend to gather up a young army, siphon resources from them. You see this with America First. You saw this with the National Justice Party. You see this in most every iteration I have seen. And I was referencing this book I read recently by Georges Sorel called Reflections on Violence, which is a very good book written in 1908, referencing the French syndicalist movement, basically a Marxist movement. And he was making the argument for violence, or why the revolution needs to necessarily be violent. And what he said was, once you lose your nerve to actually destroy institutions and maybe even like general strike and meme people, he's like, what you have is these revolutions run by revolutionaries who just end up brokering deals, threatening violence to get into the room with the powerful, with the system, to broker deals, usually for themselves, to get allowed into that strata of society that completely nullifies the revolution. Which made, and that's relevant now, because if you look at these movements with a figurehead, a charismatic figurehead, I don't think there's a single leader in this space that would survive interfacing directly with the system or the feds. They would either get, like, because they just haven't really taken that aggressive an interest, or they've been compromised already. That's my opinion. If the state apparatus really put any of these leaders under the microscope, they would fold entirely. They're just not made of that stuff. Furthermore, I don't think anyone is. They're not necessarily weak people, but no one can really, especially in America, withstand the full force of the state bearing down on them and turning them or completely crushing them. So what I was saying was, we need something more like an anti-leader, because the tendency of a leader to be the tip of a spear of a revolution is to gather up a cult of personality and just kind of keep them there forever. What we actually need, and then they become targets when they do that. If you get everything you want and you get popular and you get rich and influential, that makes you more of a target for the system itself. So what you really need is a more decentralized network of highly intelligent and disciplined sort of leaders, but not one leader, dissipated throughout the nation, so there's not one easy target, and they've got a crew of a few people, and they're actually doing more local things. You need more leaders, not just one tyrant or one philosopher king, which is what everyone has been hoping for. Point being that once you break the strategy down to that level, you could actually influence politics and enact change on a regional level, and you will filter for the types of personalities who don't want to be an insane philosopher king like every single mother we've got right now. So you actually need an entire paradigm shift.
You mean like an aristocracy, in other words?
Kind of, but it would be more like a decentralized, if you read like The Network State or things like that, or Revolt of the Public by Martin Gurry. There's a way to do this through a digital means, but it would not involve traditional means. And that basically what I'm saying is, there's ways to filter for the right types of people to enact change on a smaller level, where it's not just one psycho leading an army, which seems to be what a lot of these people are proposing. Anyway, that's just to establish there. And that's in the interest of more accomplishing what Prude might have been talking about, which is getting people out there and doing real things that is not above their pay grade, because it's very often that people on our side get lost in the weeds of meta politics. They get lost in the weeds of these huge tectonic geopolitical shifts that they can't change whatsoever. By the way, we're not terribly good at making predictions on those fronts. This is one thing I was talking to Juice about earlier. The next time someone in our space wants to make a prediction on the Ukraine war, or if anything, the election, ask them if they would put money on it. Ask them if they would put $5,000 on that prediction. I bet they say no, because they're not really serious about it. But we like getting lost in the space of these big unchangeable things, whereas we can actually get some of these driven people to enact real change, like what Prudentialist has been talking about the entire time, with capital and with measurable results, with KPIs. But that again requires a paradigm shift on what leaders we are looking for. Anyway, sorry.
I'll make a prediction on the Ukraine war.
Yeah, I guess we could. We can put $5,000 on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Against who?
No, I'm kidding.
I got so
Prude was getting his wallet.
excited. I was like, damn, I'm about to make 10 grand.
I have to make he loses twice with one prediction.
Oh, do we want to move on to
Let's hear
Casinos of
it.
Futurism? What? No,
wanna
because I'm
hear your
not going to pay
prediction.
people $5,000.
Let's put a pin in that for now.
All right. They're
I
going to
wanna
go
hear
to
it.
the
Let's hear-
negotiating table
the
eventually.
chat wants to hear it. Oh yeah.
I think it will last at least until next year, the war, to which I think the Ukrainians will be so depleted that, especially barring if Trump wins, that would accelerate going to the negotiating table. But I think also if there's which isn't out of the realm of possibilities, a huge strategic victory on the battlefield for Russia, meaning they will take, I would say, a lot of territory to, especially in the Kharkov region, and if they secure all of the Donbass, and if there's strategic moves towards Nikolaev, I think that even Biden, if he wins again, will probably force the Ukrainians, will force Zelensky to go to the negotiating table. Apart from some black swan event that would happen,
It'd be funny if you
there
said
is a
Kharkov in an Italian accent.
I couldn't do that. I don't have a very good Italian.
Mamma mia,
Kharkov. Oh God! Do you want to do Casinos of Futurism? Read the super chat.
Mamma mia, Zelensky overdosed.
Oh.
See, honestly, like I kind of do like the whole Hunter Biden stuff too in the news. Like apparently, the FBI did know about like the Burisma dealings. Well, of course they did. But also, did you see that tweet where someone compared Hunter Biden, 54 years old, compared to what's his name, Brian Johnson, the guy who doesn't want to die,
Wants to live forever.
I love
Moonbra?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, Moonbra.
Compare, yeah.
It's honestly, it's super. Maybe creepy. I don't know.
I think they should fight.
Have you tried salad?
It's got carrots in it. It's funny. There was that one tweet like, "What does this diet do? It doesn't make you thin, and it doesn't build muscle. What does this do?"
Have you tried?
It reverses cell damage. Well, I don't care about that. I'm gonna get fat.
It's a good stream.
Oh man, I like Peters, but some of them go too far. Like taking research chemicals to become a Peter. Like taking like high doses.
Faustian.
Yeah, like liver destroying doses of methylene blue. That's Faustian right there. Just like sanguinating your liver for Raymond Pete.
What is that?
Anyways.
Amyloid for Pete? Yes, sir.
Then I remember one comment that some like Peter gave to, I believe, I forget who it was. That's like, well, if you take another cocktail of drugs, it like, it prevents a lot of the damage of methylene blue. But then like, yeah, but what if I
It's like the
don't
guy who
take-
overdoses on aspirin to get his A10 eyes.
Yeah, although that's more believable.
Thank you, at Mine Got Niles for that wonderful short film of yours.
Yeah, Payne. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, it was James Payne.
I can't say I endorse it, but I do think it's a work of art.
That reminds me of that comic guy that did the same, where it's like the kid was about to redact and then
Oh,
he was about to like sunset, then like a certain I think Borzoi interviewed that guy, the comic book stuff. Anyways, let's move on. Do you want to do super chats? Do you want to do Casinos of Futurism really quickly? Because it's getting late. And you guys have totally destroyed. I'm probably gonna have to take the stream down and then private it and hopefully edit out all the naughty. Nah, I'm too lazy.
Take it down.
To do
It's
that.
polish
not
it.
that
Put it on your
bad.
mantle.
There's
We're
certain
still
words,
up. I mean,
though.
it's still on YouTube.
We're still
No, I know,
alive.
but like we're still alive. But like, I don't know. I'm not gonna make any money off of this except for the super chat.
That's why you gotta send
Just-
Gio some super chat. Send Gio money.
Send super chats
Gio,
right now.
Just to
I can't
clarify,
believe
could
I
you
thought
list the
Noam
things we said?
Chomsky died. I'm so pissed. I've got like I believed people on Twitter that said that Noam Chomsky.
Imagine Gio just drops a hard R right now.
I was so ready for it. I was so ready for it.
Oh no, you'll never catch me dropping that.
That's true. You'll hear me drop it before Gio ever does.
Yeah.
He's always holding
No, but I
aloft,
couldn't believe it.
that's
I was
why.
conned. I was tricked. I thought Noam Chomsky, he slipped his mortal coil and he was, wherever
You know who did just slip their mortal coil, Gio?
What?
Willie Mays just died.
Who's Willie Mays?
Really?
Famous baseball player.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he died.
How old was he?
Oh, I thought that was the infomercial guy.
No, that's,
that's
Billy
Billy
Mays.
Mays.
20 years ago.
Billy Mays died in like what, 2004?
Yeah.
2007.
I just found out this is horrible. Guys, Billy Mays died.
Ah! He died in a plane of an overdose.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
Yeah, he
hilarious.
died in an airplane. Yeah.
yeah. Billy Mays. Oh no, he died in 2009. He was 50 years
2009.
old.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the
It
It
coolest
was
way
like
to die,
Thomas
though, right?
Kincaid.
No, he did not die of a plane crash, buddy. He died of hyperintensive heart disease.
Yeah, he died on a plane, but like they say that it was because of his extended use of certain.
Yeah, because he had.
Yeah, he was
'cause he was
Nick-Ricating
jelking.
that night. Yeah, he was Ricating. Yeah, he had the Baldo.
He had to take a real big dose because he was a Republican and he watched Barack Obama get elected.
Yeah.
Barack Obama came in.
Do you think Nick Rekieta stored it in the Baldo? Never mind.
Sort of what?
I'm gonna let you keep that mental image to yourself. In the same
Those
way, I'm
people
gonna let
can't-
that mental image of the Collinses can stay in your head, not mine.
For those keeping track of the Neverminds, that's like the third time Gio has mentioned Baldo, by the way.
Someone in the chat, I think it was Tree Surgeon, or it was a Nudge Unit that said like Gio's absolute darkest dream would be the Kino Casino Digital Archipelago crossover.
You know, what show? The Kino Casino one?
Yeah, that'd be like, yeah, that
You wanna
would
make
be
that
a dream
happen?
come true.
You want to make that happen?
No, because
I'm
we
never
get so much
I'm-
heat.
I'm never gonna get hired by anybody, so like, come on, let's go.
Can I
let's go
come
have
on?
them
I
all.
desperately would love to go on.
At this point, Gio's gonna move more Neverminds than Cobain ever did. That's a funny one.
So
That's a
so this
good
was
one.
this, you're in because again I don't know if Judas is on Twitter, but like, so speaking of like things that'll never, I keep joking about things that'll never gonna get happen, but I got an email today from the View Movement people, the guys that do all these like reels and making short form content, and apparently they do it for people like Steven Crowder, Alan Dershowitz, Diamond and Silk, and others. And they're like, we really like your work.
I think
and I felt
Silk
like
is
I was
on-
being, and I feel like I was being approached by the creepy. Oh, he just disappeared. Oh no, wait, Gio.
Gio, we're sorry. We
we're so-
actually love Walt.
It's a bit of
He
joke.
makes
the
a
whole
lot of
time.
good points.
Makes a lot of good
I was
points.
doing a bit.
It's just a bit. Like you always say, Gio, just keep doing the bit.
Gio, I know I never told you this, but I'm Walt.
Are we still live?
Hey, you're back.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, we're still live.
Okay, good. I don't know why it does this sometimes. So we're still live, right? Good.
Yeah, we're
in the
we're
chat. Are we live?
Yeah, chat will tell us.
Mentions
haven't- I
black
haven't-
women immediately leave.
I haven't
So
seriously-
big.
Chat's fun today. But anyway, so
Oh.
like they sent me this email and they're like, well, if you're interested in like go check out our work. And then I was like, I felt like I was being approached by like the creepy like poly couple at the end of the bar. They're like, we really like your vibe. And I was like, do you people know who I am?
Didn't Diamond die?
One of them died, right?
I think
recently?
Diamond died. I think Silk is still alive.
Well, I guess they still do it. I guess the show is still around. I think it's just one of them
Is it
now.
like
but
a
it's
crew-
One of them
overdose, or-
died.
I don't know. I thought it was complicated.
I wonder if her apartment's burnt down.
turned down for what, right? But you know.
No, she forgot to change the.
Oh,
smoke
that's
detector.
true. Yeah.
Nick Rekieta told me I didn't have to change the smoke.
Yeah, so that company, what was the name of it again? Prudentialist?
I think it's called like View Movement or whatever.
Yeah,
I do
I
see
had to
like
look
I
at their
fit that into an
website.
Ethan Ralph thing.
We're gonna
Yes.
do 2 conversations right now. I think this is the
But
way
Nick
people should be doing
Rekieta
podcasts.
told me I didn't have to change the
This is-
smoke
this
alarm,
is-
bitch.
This is peak podcasting.
This is
We should do it in
This has
stereo.
never been
So
tried.
Someone
Someone
should be
clip
done in
this. This is-
stereo. So Gio and Judas's conversation is in the left earbud, and then yours conversation in mine is in the right earbud.
Sector autism, yeah. Like Nick Ricada told me I didn't have to take the smoke alarm. Oh yeah, she died of heart disease. Someone said she died of COVID.
Heart disease? Oh,
no, it was heart disease. It's
yeah. Come on, it's an overweight black woman.
Ethan Ralph has had me blocked for like 5 years now. Okay,
Gio, I think you should go on the kill stream.
No, I wouldn't. No, first of all, he'd never invite me because I totally felt him. But
you should kick his ass, Gio.
No, you know why? Because I've morally grandstanded about not going on the kill stream for so long that if I went on the kill stream, I would look like a total hypocrite.
Yeah.
Even though if Ethan Ralph unblocked me tomorrow and said, you know, Gio, sorry, I like your content.
You wouldn't be a hypocrite because remember, Academic Agent said he would never be on GB News, and then he interviewed him with Jacob Rees-Mogg.
True.
And he never say never.
If he unblocked me, he's like, "Well, I'm sorry, Gio. I know you make fun of me, but I probably wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe I would. If he asked nicely, I probably would go on the kill stream.
You have to go on and do the impression the whole time."
An unspecified.
I didn't know
illness.
you're another fat Canadian, like Ashley, like Ash, another fat Canadian.
You just make me think of Sam Rockwell's George W. Bush impression from Vice,
or like Alex Jones's George W. Bush impression with that one video.
Oh man,
that was funny. Anyways, okay, Castiza Future is, you know what? Do you want to read super chats or Castiza?
I feel like this has been debated time and time again, and we mentioned this earlier with the whole Brahmin thing as well.
It's not going to work
until you can dismantle the incentive to not identify as white. Like, good luck.
No, but I think there will be a lot of like white presenting Hispanics that probably, you know.
Well, I mean, this is also very similar to
would identify as white.
I mean, this is sort of the same thing that like Carl and others have said. Which has basically been like you're going to need multiracial whiteness because the thing about the conversations I've had with these people is basically like we want white identity politics, but we can't call it white identity politics on an electoral scale. So they're like, well, how do we still maintain a decent electoral coalition? So I mean, like multiracial whiteness, I guess would be the way to go. Whereas like white coded CivNat stuff, which is what he's asking for here. But it's like again, until you it's the same thing with like the dating thing, like. How can you compete against, you know, big government? How do you compete against Big Brother? You know, like let's face it, like Big Brother Stacey harder.
Yeah.
Was that true about Sargon? He used to claim he wasn't white. Like he claimed he was like a quarter Muslim or a fifth black or something from the Windrush generation. I don't know.
Oh, Jack Teagarden's Octoroon starts playing in the background.
He used to do like those stupid things once in a while. Like remember he used to send like black prawn to alt-righters on Twitter? Or was that true or was that someone making stuff up? I don't know. Like wasn't that why he got banned off of Twitter? Because like he was he used
to think he was a troll. He's not a troll. He never was good at it. So it sounds like that's something he would do.
I thought he kicked off for refusing that politician, which is extremely rude.
No,
like
he still had his Twitter account.
Might as well just said
UKIP.
Yeah, just be nice. Jesus.
Stop saying that
word. Sorry.
Oh my god.
Sorry. Jim.
This is why
you know,
he's just saying might as well.
93 episodes. This isn't so bad to last that long on YouTube. We did pretty well for ourselves, Gio. We'll see you all on Odyssey, I promise.
Oh my god, don't say that! No!
Would you love us if we were a BitChute exclusive? I'm doing the whole Foyd. Would you love me if I was a worm? Would you love me if I was a BitChute exclusive? I feel like I'm just. As I say this, Gio's slowly getting heart palpitations.
Let's move on to super chats, okay? Let's.
Because I do need to get going soon. As I think
I'm going to delete the stream. I'm going to have to re-upload.
We're just doing a Gio. We're just doing a bit.
But YouTube doesn't think you're doing a bit.
We're doing the bit. You keep doing the bit.
We're just doing a bit of.
I try so hard.
So okay, I will say this to
This
the
is
1,000
the
plus
most
people
views
watching.
both.
And you got
What?
so far, but in the end, it doesn't really matter.
So true. But what does
Everything's
matter is
automatic,
that right
yeah.
now you send Gio money. You send him money right now to make up the ad revenue lost on this episode.
That was a deep Canadian cut right there.
Send him your
Automatic.
money and your manual typewriters. So
No,
help me
that
God.
was doing Linkin Park actually.
What's the
No,
first
when I said everything's automatic, you remember that song?
What's the first super
I do,
chat?
but I was saying-
Gio?
What? What's happening?
What's the first?
What is happening?
What's the first super chat, Gio?
Oh, you want me to go to super chats now? I thought we were going to talk about Castiza futurism.
No, that's been debated to death 5 years ago. Let's continue.
Okay, but what did Walt say in particular?
I mean,
You
I'm
can-
looking at but basically Walt says exploit the Hispanic vote. It's been working very, very well for Republicans. Courting Hispanics has been an incredibly effective strategy for Republicans, and he goes into some. Basically, Walt is saying,
Well, Florida,
keep going
right?
with what the Republicans have been doing.
Well,
yeah.
Florida, yeah, okay.
Florida,
so
New
that is-
Mexico, and and Nevada and Texas. Like there is that's already happening, and it is moderately slowly beginning to work. Like honestly, and what works on it is actually campaigning on immigration. Because like I mentioned earlier, everyone loves being the last guy in because they're the ones that get to slam the door.
Yeah.
So I mean,
And I accept that as the first step of a 5-step plan too, where it's like you get that, then you work on the next few things. But
yeah,
I've never heard it explained like that before. That's a pretty interesting perspective, I think.
Geo spiraling. Please, someone send him a really an optical super chat to smooth things over. Why? Because it's got
Well,
money
the first one says
attached to it.
shekels.
Okay, no, but wait. Let's go to Odyssey. Sorry, let's go to.
you mean entropy?
Entropy, not Odyssey. God, please,
remember.
No.
Remember. I feel like we've incurred such psychic damage that I'm going to get a long, angry message after the show.
We're gonna
I'm gonna get a long, strongly worded letter telling me to shut up.
It's like
Who's writing you?
It's like when Peter Rex made the
It's
tier
Gio.
list.
Send your super chats via Entropy. It takes less of a cut. Gio gets to keep more of the money. Please support this man. He is an artist. He is an author. I have to do the audiobook version of his book that's coming out later this year. So please support Gio.
All right. So first on Entropy, our good friend Seneca for US $10. Mrs. Missouri Laura, liberal Missouri, founded as an atheist utopia that banned both churches and saloons in 1880. Wow, I didn't know that. By lawyer George Walser, liberal was supposed to be dedicated to intellectual pursuits and had its own college, was promptly taken over by Baptist/Methodist ministers. Fedora tippers BTFO'd. That's pretty good. That's some Missouri lore right there. I didn't know that Missouri was supposed to be like a libtard state, but yeah, that's
Why
interesting.
it's called misery, Joe.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Sean, I
Got
can't
him.
say that one. I would never.
Wait, what is it? I'll say it. What is it?
No, you can't. You can't.
Even I don't know what this is because it's on.
You know
Entropy,
what
so-
word it is. You know what word it is. You know the
Oh.
word. Just don't.
Oh,
This is okay.
Is it
Yeah,
nincompoop?
it's nincompoop. Yes. Okay. Internet friend for US $5. This is a pre-donation for the GPPD, Gio Penichetti Party of Canada. I mean PGGC GPPC. What the hell?
Jesus Christ.
Internet friend is like,
What are we
really-
doing?
what are we doing here?
boy? It's tough. All right. So let's go to our good friend Charlie Mackey for US $30. Good evening, gentlemen. Gio, you once mentioned that zombies were the only or primary apocalypse that is coded left wing. Well, it can be, I guess, in the current iteration of zombie flicks. Is there a reason why zombies in particular, and there is why most right-wing coded apocalypse, aside from Christ's Return? Also, how much for a review of a canonical for Leibowitz? Well, my usual fee is $100. So, So yeah, why I think like the zombie thing in its current iteration has become left wing because it's a sort of like critique of consumerism, but also it presents this like wholesome Chungus multicultural survivor group, but it could potentially be right wing, like all post-apocalyptic genres. Depends on the logic by which the world is created. So, what do you guys think?
I'd be more interested in a post-apocalyptic if I were talking about a zombie flick, because we always talk about during the apocalypse. We don't talk about the post. The only one who's ever done it would be Max Brooks's World War Z, but the movie adaptation was so retarded that it's a joke.
Yeah,
I would love a post-apocalyptic zombie apocalypse where either humanity has survived or it's enclaves.
Hey, Gio, I tell you what, I wasn't even listening, but it sounds like I get to libs twice.
What? What? What are you talking about? Zombies, I guess. What?
Although in the zombie apocalypse, I guess like Democrats win every election because all the dead are voting again.
Oh,
I feel bad for Norm Macdonald. He's been voting Democrat for
good.
5 years.
Times is going hard tonight. Yeah, that's not good for me.
Inside of you, there are two Canadians.
I just like. Full disclosure, I like it when Gio loses money. I should have said that at the start. First of all, let's just say Gio's getting more money now than we've like ever gotten for anything we've done with this show.
True. Oh my god, true. Holy crap. Oh
man, are you telling me I should pay for real secret coffee hours?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. We're independently wealthy.
When you're that's I mean, if you wanted to donate,
sir, I'm a bureaucrat. I'm not.
Go to their
we're
website.
A show of the people.
All right, let's move on.
People always accuse me of taking teal bucks or whatever, and I'm like, man, if that were the case, I wouldn't be driving a used Honda Civic.
Hey, it's a sensible
You
car.
gotta be kidding me, Charlie Mackey. No way. Oh my god.
What do you do?
Wait, Canicle for Leibowitz. How long is that? That's the film, right?
No, it's a book.
Oh god. I should have said 300.
Uh-oh.
It
sounds like you're making money and you got to put it where your mouth is. Uh-oh.
Gee, honestly,
you've never read Canicle for Leibowitz?
No.
Honestly, Gio, the first third of it's probably the best part, so you can just read that and then the very end.
Yeah. It's 320 pages. It's good.
Oh my god.
I'm surprised you've not read it as a Catholic.
Anyways,
you're gonna like it. Honestly, like once you get it, you're really gonna like it, I think.
I have to write it on my list. I have to do other things too.
Don't you
like that Mormon, like that Amish book. It's not really that. It's like she's like a girl boss. Where is
Shunning.
Yes, The Shunning.
You mean that porn book? No, it's like a romance. It's serious.
But I mean that's graphic from an Amish perspective.
Yeah, because she becomes shunned and then she becomes like a real girl boss.
From a
Exactly.
Yeah.
But honestly, they have a better control over the whole lust question than any other like Christian group.
Anyways, let's move on. So,
based.
Owen Zaleski.
So he sent you $100 to go.
I'm getting to it.
Okay.
Owen Zaleski for $5. Hello, gents. Glad to hear from you all. Missed most of this because of my choir practice. Well, anyways, I was gonna make a joke about he's a choir boy and he's listening to this smut, but we will
How do you think I feel?
Like choir practice, they like hit the locker room after choir practice.
Shut up! Don't mean to.
Oh no! Don't put that in the rectory.
Oh, don't eat! You guys are bad. I don't know. What
you know how awful. Do you know how?
While you're doing this.
Do you know how much like this show like plays part in my confession? Like, do you know how much fun that is to explain? Oh, I do this.
You explained to your priest what goon
I explained to my priest for the sake of quote unquote content. I watched a season of a Canadian show.
Anyways, hello, gents. Glad to hear from you all. Missed most of this because I was in choir practice. We will be heading to Rome this Friday for a week. Any prayer intentions that you want me to keep while pilgrimage between the concerts? Thanks all. God bless. Any prayer intentions, boys?
We appreciate the support, Owen.
Yeah, thank you, Owen. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Anyways, Sean Schaefer for $3. Evening, gents. Good to see my fellow, good to my follower Dimes on tonight. Now that Chomsky had a stroke, how much you want to bet we get a Fetterman style redemption arc for him? Or he has a vision and then yeah. I don't know. What do you guys
That'd
think?
be so funny. There's somebody if Chomsky comes out and he's just like, women shouldn't vote, and
Chomsky would come out and be like, yeah.
You should really manufacture consent to sleep with women. I do like the idea that libtards get brain damaged and they just like slowly come to their senses, like they've like coming out,
they
like
become
they come
normal.
Out of the haze, like it's Rip Van Winkle, and they're like, "Whoa, I've been asleep for 200 years. Turns out I've been retarded for 200 years. I gotta go fix some things. I gotta go delete some tweets."
Like John Winthrop, I have to go fix some things. Yeah. Anyways, Sam
Chomsky comes out of his stroke coma and says, first thing he says is, "If the Earth is flat, then this couldn't have happened."
Shut up! Shut up! Stop! I'm getting rid of the stream anyway, so don't worry about it. Okay, so Sean Shea. Okay, I already read. Oh no, I have to read that. Sam153 for $10. Oilers heading to a win tonight. Maybe. Well, it's about 1 minute left, and it's empty net Florida. Maybe it's 3 Leafs versus 1 Burger. Meme them to victory. Well, there's a lot of Leafs on the Florida Panthers, but I guess. Did you like the naming of this stream, by the way? 3 Leafs and a steer. Did you like that? That was.
I didn't get
so
it.
Prude's a
Yeah,
steer?
you're right. This is your fault, Prude. This is your fault.
I know.
Anyways.
Because I wanted Dimes to come on my episode, and then we brought him to this one, both of you.
I try my best whenever.
Too. No, I mean that works for me. They're in the third. It's
I promise
I won't. I like this show.
I won't snake.
I was excited for coming on.
I would never snake Prude by starting to Fed post on when his week.
Oh no, Gio has every right to tell me to stop Fed posting because I get hot under the collar on the show.
Yeah. Anyways, Sean.
But
I
do stand by what I said about Jackson Hinkle, though.
Okay, yeah. Sean
I like being
Schaefer
fed posts
for $3. Gio, I wouldn't even say that particular word, Penichetti, and you spelled Penichetti wrong. Where are the T's?
This is
Where are the T's?
Gio Panacci.
Gio Panacci.
Yeah.
Gio Penis Chetty.
Oh my god.
No, so what's worse is that okay, so last week we had a new Twitter account be invented where it's Gio Pan Spaghetti or Penna Spaghetti, and he's out there with the Fez Apustaya face. There's the old head Norwood Groiper 2016 that also has the old Norwooding frog. All that you've done now is just created a new gimmick account where it's Gio Penis Chutty. Like this is the the third account that we've spawned on the show. We have our own gimmick accounts.
Someone get Gio Penis Chutty Groiper. Get that going.
Gio Penis Chutty Groiper.
You've said it. You've now willed it into existence.
Well, Sam153.
People.
It looks like the Oilers just won Game 5. So, anyways,
yep, they sure did.
Internet friend for $5. Giovanni, the teacher said smoking's bad, so I'm not going to have a cigarette. Penichetti. I was smoking on stream today. What do you? GOP.
That should be a movie that we should review. Gio, when's the last time you watched Thank You for Smoking?
I've only watched. I think I might watch it when it came out. I've never.
We should rewatch that movie.
It good?
Yeah, we should. Yeah, it was pretty good.
It's Dennis Leary, and he's like a big tobacco PR guy.
I'm only going to leave it up if I edit it. Then I'll leave it up. Then I'll repost it because that's not where I'll put it. Like, I don't know, maybe I'll put the.
No, it's Dennis Leary. Oh, was it?
I'll
Oh.
put the uncensored.
They're all
one
the
up
same to
on-
me at
on
that point in the early
Odyssey.
2000s. Oh yeah, because Dennis Leary was in Demolition Man.
Yes. Anyways, then
Oh, yeah, he
finally we
was.
have on Entropy Charlie Mackey for US $100.
You're welcome.
Here's the 100 for
Gio, by the way.
yeah. Here is a review for Canonical for Leibowitz. Now, how is the Cruelty Squad review coming, Prude?
I hope to have it out by the end of July.
Yeah. End of July. That's all right. And Seneca.
It's a
for
video
US
game review. If it was a movie or
know.
a book, it would have already been out by now.
And Seneca for US $3. Some extra couch money for Gio because this stream is definitely disappearing. Well,
It's definitely getting edited. That's for sure.
yeah, I'll put it on. Odyssey,
Go
maybe.
send Gio more of your dollars so he can get paid for his labor.
All right.
Pay him so you can maintain this content renaissance you're beholding.
Exactly. I'm probably just gonna put this up on Odyssey.
Remember,
Gio
GeoCells, it's your financial support that allows him to be a full-time NEET.
You could just get Dimes to edit it. He'll do it for free.
Yeah, he
that's
won't
a
change
great
anything.
You're gonna
idea.
lose the chat, Gio. Half the fun is the chat. You have not been putting up the good chat messages
Chat
on the
is
screen.
Chat
so
is
it's gonna
truly
be
the
lost.
third co-host of the
I've
show.
been
and
putting
also
up the good
guest.
chat messages. That some of them, like they say certain words, I can't put it up. Anyways,
So are we onto the YouTube ones?
we're on to the YouTube ones. Now, for YouTube, our good friend, Old Head Norwood Graper 2016 for $4.99. It's a big deal when Canadians care more about poo in the streets than a mental image of a polar bear and a piece of melting ice. Oh boy.
So true.
So true. Thank you, Old Head Norwood Graper. And $2 from Bolero 393, our good friend Mitt Romney would be far right in Canada. Well, yes, of course, because
I had the pleasure of meeting Bolero 393 at the conference. So
I thought you were going to say Mitt Romney, but no, you
thought I was gonna say
Bolero.
Mitt
no,
Romney, too.
I've never had the displeasure of meeting Mitt Romney, and if I did, I'm sure I'd get arrested.
Oh boy. And Bolero 393 for $2. How dare they? Leafs should be beholden to the USA. Well, the Leafs are fighting
You just
back.
already
in the
responded
Stanley
to
Cup
this.
Final.
Yeah, Judas
Yeah, I
already
think we
answered
responded to
that,
that.
but I think that we already know who they're beholden to. It's called China.
Yeah.
China.
Oh, actually, Tim Miller for $1.99. Canada is unironically a NatSoc threat to America.
NatSec
Alright.
threat, not
NatSoc.
NatSec.
We're
Sorry,
a
NatSoc.
NatSoc. We
Canada
are
was a
a
You guys are
NatSoc
melting my
threat to the
brain
United
this stream.
States. This would be a much different conversation.
You guys are melting. Yeah.
You've buck broke Gio's brain. With respects to the Chinese, yes, so from a realist perspective,
Yeah.
Canada is a national security threat to the United States. And Dimes wrote an excellent piece in the Old Glory Club saying, just get it over with and tell Canada to bite the pillow and get annexed.
Oh boy.
I
would
think I
kinda
phrased
support
it a bit differently than that, but
I was
you
putting
should
the
check
old
it out. It's a
Dimes
great
spin
article.
on that.
Yeah.
He's used
All
me
right.
against
In
myself.
the same
Classic
in
Prude.
this I love when you were like on a stream with Dave the Distributist Dimes, and then you were talking about like something with like 3 minutes, and then you're like, enough about what I give my wife, and I was like, this is a man who appreciates the self-deprecating humor.
Give her
I want
this.
to get
Yeah.
Dave back on too. I really like him.
I really do enjoy it. Dave is my one of the few people I try to consistently watch live.
All right. Bolero 393 for $2. This stream brought to you by Pisswater Molson Ice. Oh. I'm not a beer guy, so I don't know. Anyways, Death by Cotton Distance for $5. Here's a $5 for a cheap rake, Prude. It's not easy dealing with so many Leafs. Well, it's true.
It was funny because when I had Dimes on for the consultancy crisis talk, and he goes on this like 3-minute like constant raising up the insults of Walt Bismarck, and I'm like, oh, I can relate to this, and this is like me and Gio all the time, where we just have to like corral each other down.
Yeah.
See, Gio,
Anyways.
I'm you.
No, I corral Prude all the time. What are you talking about? I don't have to be corralled.
Hey, a death by cognitive dissonance. How about
I've never-
death by being
I've not-
praised for a bad super chat?
I've never had. Oh my god! I've never had one.
Death by Canada.
I've never had one instance where I had to be. Well, maybe when I was on BTR, but anyways, Bolero 393 or another good friend for $2. Fort Worth, Texas soldiers Xiao Zhang charged with spying. Oh my god!
Oh wow! Who would have guessed?
Who would have
telling
guessed
me this for the first time?
He was an amazing spy.
He was an amazing spy.
He lived an amazing life.
Lived an amazing life.
He'll go into an amazing Gitmo cell. And there you go.
He's going to have an amazing court martial. I'll tell you that, folks. The best court martials in the world. Best court martials.
Bolero 393 for $5. Thus far, the stream has had the fellow white censorship acceptance of a bumpkin in a Latin mass. What? What is that? I know what a blumpkin is, but like in a Latin mass? Like,
hey, what's that privatus Dei filio mean? I don't know.
No, but you know what a blumpkin is, right?
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, we all went to Urban Dictionary when we were kids back then.
Never mind.
I went for bumpkin first because I didn't want to think about what a blumpkin was and be reminded from the Urban Dictionary.
Maybe he meant bumpkin, but he said blumpkin instead.
Well,
I just like to say this is a good ass super chat.
This is for you, Dimes.
This is a good super chat.
T-Cog for $10. Edit shekels for the landlord.
Got him.
God.
Oh, there you go. He's this will be the only part that gets unedited.
I'm not putting this one up. Okay, Robert Weisfield for $1.99. Shekel type here. Not okay, funny stuff. Oh, okay. Bolero 393 for $2. Leave Chomsky in Death Watch. Well, there's plenty of like dirtbag centrist leafs who like OD'd on reading Noam Chomsky, and when they went to like Concordia, that probably it's like they're on their death watch right now. So okay, who's next? Bolero again for $2. Prude's memorable quote at OGC: "I've been hurt before."
John Doyle gave a speech about like the stakes in the election, and I was basically saying the same things I've kind of said here, and my distrust of a lot of elected officials, trust not in princes and the sons of men. And I was like, so John, I've been hurt before, basically trying to say why should I care so much to go all in for Trump, because I wanted him to make an argument. Everyone else was asking him kind of softball questions. So that was the only time I participated in Q&A. Was that one right there. But also, when Chomsky finally goes, are we going to say, Requiem for a Libtard Dream?
Oh boy.
Well, he wrote that book, Requiem.
Oh yeah, that's right. Brian Danielson, the real Brian Danielson, for $2. Boys, how did you like the AS song / show opener? I tweeted. I liked it actually. Maybe we should do it as a song, as an opener.
Is this the one he did forever ago, or is this one that happened today?
The recent one.
What's the recent one? I didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
No.
Oh, well, send it again. At Prude again. I think it was a private video or something on YouTube. It was a new one. So,
well, I haven't seen it. So yeah, someone DM it or DM it.
Look right here. Why isn't Tomb of the Unknown Gooner going up on the board?
Oh, because I'm not reading those.
That's actually a great name.
Tomb of the Unknown Gooner. There you go.
Tomb of the Unknown Gooner.
Oh
nice.
Boy. Anyways.
That's what it means to be a Coomer, a thoroughbred standing at his goon battle station as the nukes drop.
Oh boy. And Bolero 393 for $2. Oh, what a terrible image. It's like those Helper Peppies in the nuclear war, and like they're in their bunker playing.
Except he's out. It's like the chud who like says nothing ever happens. The nukes fly, and then he like closes his.
Take your meds, schizo. Yeah.
He closes the blinds and goes back to tweeting. He closes the blinds and goes back to gooning.
There was an ancient one like that where like a guy was on his computer, then he closes the blinds. Yeah, it was like some neckbeard. And it was Bolero 393 for $2. No reparations without repatriation.
So true.
All right.
Again,
here's a big
just
one.
start taxing remittances.
Oh boy. Yeah, didn't Trump say we should, something?
I don't know if he
with
said no.
tariffs?
He said just do tariffs and slice income taxes, and also he said no taxes on tips.
Whoa! And here's a big one. Big Ben
100%
for.
tax on blacks.
Oh boy, I'm getting rid of this anyways. Big Ben for $20. Gio, that's it, just Gio. And Berwick, my good friend and patron, for 25 Canadian dollars. Here's 25 Trudeau fun bucks to keep the stream up. I'm sorry, that's
That's so getting edited.
It's past.
It's so getting edited. Sorry, folks.
Oh boy.
He's gonna paywall this stream. He's gonna paywall it. He's gonna edit it out, all the ugly bits, and then it'll come back.
There you go.
It was just beautiful the entire time. There's no ugly bits.
What are we streaming on the TRS network right now? I mean, it's just
this whole stream has been a ripe peach.
The ripe peach stuff. Anyways, Karasimov for $10. Gio just finished your episode on Humdog. I know one of her close friends and co-authors. Oh my God! Wow. Last I heard from her, she had purchased an abandoned quartz mine in Arkansas and was starting a goddess cult. You mean her friend? Because Humdog died in 2008.
Wow, talk about Pandora's box.
Man. So that's actually believable that one of Humdog's internet friends started a goddess cult in some quartz mine. That's actually pretty believable. And for 50 Mexican pesos by Hugo Glotz 56, our resident Mexican friend, a fancy restaurant in Mexico City is whiter than one in Vancouver. That's probably true.
I wonder if that's due to all the white Americans that have moved there that they're trying to deport.
Yeah. And Sean's. Yeah, I could do that. Or Odyssey. I'll put it on Odyssey. I'll do that.
The unedited version?
I'll put the unedited version on Odyssey.
It sounds like what Dimes and I have done, where I've got like 6 hours of a certain book review on Odyssey that'll never see the light of YouTube.
Okay, can I just say this for a second? Vulpus Persona has been sending heaters across the plate this entire time. I just got one here. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I felt that one in my nuggets. Geo shutting it all down. Yeah, it's so Geo over. It's so Geo over. Yeah. Oh man, I can't believe that thing about.
Speaking of lactose tolerance, did you see that god awful PETA tweet today?
No, I didn't.
So the people for the ethical treatment of animals, they said cow's milk is for baby cows. That's why your tummy can't handle it. I had a really meme about having milk in your coffee and then having a bad reaction. And I was like,
That's not disproven by science. All right, boys.
Couldn't help but laugh. We now know that a lactose intolerant person manages the PETA Twitter account.
Oh, boy.
You got one more.
Oh, one more.
He says he can't message you, Prude. Oh, yeah, because I have it filtered, so you can't ever message me unless we're mutuals.
All right, boys. This has been a blast. So I'm really tired. I did like hours of content today because
we hurt Gio today.
My foot's still hurting. So, anyways, this has been Content Minded. Don't do the entire. No, Sean. No.
Wait a second. No way. Is there?
We're not done with you. Okay, you're gonna send me more money? You can't hurt me.
No, we're done. We're done. Gee, that's the last super chat.
Send me more money, right? Okay, that was the last super chat. Entropy. Nobody on Entropy. All right, so what do I usually say? God bless. Goodbye. Yes, you heard Gio today. Yeah. I hurt myself.
To see if you still feel.
See if really he still feels because he's pissed.
The felting. Anyways, all right.
I need the edit where instead of like Newman's Zone is pissed, I need GOP is pissed.
So many like alt accounts are going to be created from the stuff we've seen. Yeah. Anyway, it was we've said. All right, God bless. No, sorry, no.
No, sorry.
God bless.
No, sorry.
Goodbye. Too sweet. We're
See you,
out of
gents.
here.